Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto grew up on Earth with knowledge of his old home part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. He was on his way home when a small Japanese restaurant has been finally opened. Since he took the bus every morning, his route was different than when he's walking home. He can teleport straight home if he wanted to, but the evening breeze is what he loved most when taking this route. The recently opened restaurant was just at the edge downtown where there's not much of other buildings to distract the people from seeing the small restaurant. It was a perfect place since the people are walking in this direction as well, but most usually take their cars with them or commute. Good evening, sir. The only staff he saw said the man is about 40 years old and definitely has no Japanese blood on his vein. So, what will you be having? He ordered a ramen for now, but should the food taste delicious then he'll definitely buy extras. He didn't mean to stare at the man, but it is the first time he ever saw an African American cooking Japanese food. The chef noticed his stare and laughed, but while Naruto meant no disrespect, the man saw it as a compliment. My father is a businessman and I grew up in Japan. He's rich, my pops, but he didn't want me cooking for other people. He wanted me to follow on his steps, but I don't like working with machines, too complicated. He understood the part about machines, but he owns a motorcycle which was a gift by Kakashi last month. So, if you're rich, why didn't you make this restaurant a bit larger? The design was definitely similar to that of Japan, but like most middle-class eatery, the spacing is a little bit problematic. There's a long stool that covers the half side of the restaurant, and on the other side is the chef with his equipment, while in front of you is a window that shows raw seafoods and other delicacies that shows off the freshness of the ingredients. Much bigger, much comfortable, and more customers. He's definitely no chef or an expert when it comes to restaurant, but that's something anyone else would think of. The man expressed. I started a restaurant on Japan cooking Italian cuisine which became a sensation. Of course, improvements had to be made on the restaurant, so there's some expenses to be made. My father, though, he didn't give me a single cent because my dream is different than his. So yeah, just came back here to see if a restaurant such as this would hit a popular level. If so, then I will make it bigger. That definitely makes a lot more sense, and the paper that can be drawn above the glass is a questionnaire that asks people if the food is bad, satisfactory, or really good. And another question asks the question if they'll return again, but he didn't know the current poll for those questions. His phone rang. It's Kakashi. Kay, how's the new apartment just for you? And is the 959 Panagale treating you good? And, it's perfect, but I don't use it when I go to school. Only one more semester before I graduate, and I don't want it to get scratched because of me hurrying. Still, thanks for everything. And the apartment is great, spacious but nothing too fancy. Besides, he can teleport to the restroom, but the fear of teleporting there while somebody is inside is nothing when somebody is already taking a dump. Sometimes, you'll literally have to see shit to know you're in a crappy situation. He shook his head, while he's glad to hear from his friend the only thing worse than that is why. Okay, that is good. Anyway, I'll be out of the country for a while, 2 months maybe, and I want you to take care of my house while I'm gone. Make sure to clean it good. Ha! And, no way. Why do I have to clean your house? Okay, just send your clones to do it. Thanks. And take care. He returned the phone to his pocket, and immediately thought about Kakashi. The man who helped him grow to be the man he is right now, but he knew that the silver-haired fellow is not his father, but the student of his father. He knew what place he is from, Konoha, but despite using the internet, and every books in the campus about that place went to nothing. Nobody knows where it is, heck, nobody knows what it is. No clue, no hint, no theory, no conspiracy, or anything else that might give him something about that place. Kakashi wasn't lying, he knew, but did that place really exist once? Space travel is impossible, not for him anyway. Superman is an alien, but even he knew that the Man of Steel still has tons of question about his home world, wherever that is. Sir, more ramen please. It earned the older man a laugh before agreeing to serve him up another bowl of that delicious ramen. When the ramen reaches his hands, he quickly devoured it with no restraint, like a wolf munching its huge prey, because it's definitely delicious, a lot better than those ready-to-cook noodles he brought every day from the nearest convenience store. After that session, the older man introduced himself as James, and he in return told James his name. The man sat beside Naruto and put on the table a large plate filled with different kinds of sushi. Compliments from the chef. He chuckled, opening 2 bottles of beer before him. A beer wouldn't hurt now, would it? Besides, you look like you're 21, are you? Naruto shook his head, earning a laughter from the chef. Well, what they don't know won't hurt, am I right? He took the alcohol, and James opened the television that's mounted on the wall. He already know what a beer tastes like. One of the many fine things of not having any real friends out there, because he's afraid that one day he might return home and leaving this world might be a struggle. Still, having an apartment all to yourself means he can do whatever the heck he wants in it. That, and the fact that every Friday night is game night means pizza and a lot of sodas, sometimes alcohol. So, this is the first time he's drinking alcohol with another person, a real live person. There's a flash news in the city of Gotham, but he could already guess that it's a villain of the Bat Vigilante that's roaming Gotham City. To be honest, he prefers the name Dark Knight rather than the Batman, which sounds totally funny for him. He imagined himself as a criminal who's on the run from the police only to hear his generic partner telling him to be careful of the Batman. He may end up laughing, to be honest. Then again, some of the interviewed criminals or the one he saw who was recently captured by the police told him that the Bat is no joke. The fear in their eyes was definitely genuine, and it's not like the vigilante chose the name of Batman. James groaned. I bet it's the Joker causing destruction once more. And Naruto could guess that this man beside him watches a lot of news. He doesn't really know much about the Joker except for the things he had done, not to mention that he's dressed up like a clown with goons wearing plastic clown masks. If I were the Batman, I'd definitely eliminate that guy, or put him somewhere he'll never get out. Because this guy keeps escaping jails. He explained, but why does the Batman always spare the Joker again and again? Each time this man is on the loose and innocent is hurt, worse, killed. But then what different is he from the Batman? At least that person is trying to make a change, unlike him who has powers and does nothing but live a normal life. Hey James, what would you do if you're given a power someday? James' eyes lit up, as if he's been dreaming of someone asking him that question for some time now. He gave a soft laugh. For starters, I'm not going to wear one of those skin-tight garments those people are wearing. Of course, I'll save many people as I can, but it's kind of scary as well, you know. He actually does not. The man realized Naruto's expression and gave a pat on his back. Imagine you're Superman, all-powerful dude, who can lift stuffs nobody can, not even with the technology we have. Now, in a situation where you're forced to make a tough decision. Your villain gives you a choice, save your best friend, or sister, or lover, etc. You get the point. Or 40 people on a building that's wired to explode. And no, even with your speed and other powers you can only pick one. Who will you save? He hasn't exactly thought about it yet, because in all the movies and cartoons he had watched, they all ended in a happy ending. Which is totally stupid when put in the reality they're in right now. Exactly? His silence seems like the answer James was looking for. I want to be a hero, but I don't want to be a hero. Because I'm afraid of not saving someone. Sure, it's fun, the fame, glory, and the attention from around the world sounds great and all, but I'd rather be James, owner of 2 restaurants. He finished. Before Naruto could reply, the answer James told him there was the sound of fighting not too far from where they are. They both looked at the television where the sounds of explosion are coming from, and they could see as clear as daylight that monsters are attacking Gotham City. Even the news team was interrupted by the military to flee the place now, and what he feared most is that Gotham there is not a single sign of costumed vigilante on that camera. James, take this, it's a lucky charm, and if you're ever in danger just give me a call, he said, handing him a piece of paper which James could never translate. No one can. Only him and Kakashi. They both got out of the restaurant with James deciding to close earlier than expected. Thankfully, James lives on the edge of the city where most people do and is definitely far from the danger. He could see up the building a kilometer away from them. You want a ride, kid? He shook his head. While his area is definitely near the edge of the city as well, it's mostly because of all the apartment buildings there. Okay, be careful. I don't want my future customer getting hurt. They both shared a laugh and James drove off towards his place. He got into an alley where he left a special dagger there and teleported to his place. His heart was beating very fast because he already knows what he's about to do. This is the very first time he's attempting this kind of thing, and it is kind of scary and exciting at the same time. He grabbed a mask that's been given to him by Kakashi should he be in a situation forced to use his abilities. It's a porcelain mask with it bearing the significance of a fox. Really, a fox? He shook his head, no time to think about his special friend. He wore the black clothing for his upper body. It was a bit tight, but he had already guessed that it's supposed to be that way. The black pants are a lot comfortable with it being quite loose in a perfect way. It definitely won't hinder his movements, but it's not loose enough for the opponent to grab him through his pants. He's wearing a gray flak jacket which he thought won't protect him from bullets, but it might come in handy, so he decided to go with it. He wore the metal arm guards, gloves that reach just above his elbow, and sandals that's pretty much usable on all terrain. He wore 2 holsters on each side of his hip, but this was custom made for his special kunai. 2 more holsters on his back which allowed him to carry 4 of those things. And a sword that was made from a metal called adamant, though he has absolutely no idea what's special about that metal. Even more mysterious is when Kakashi manages to get his hands on this stuff. Because if this is truly a sword that can deflect lasers and bullets, then what the hell does Kakashi do for a living? He knows Kakashi is a division manager at a mining company. He visited him once, and a man like Kakashi is usually required to visit different locations around the world. Wait. Maybe he did mine this rare metal, but stole some, and okay, let's not imagine him stealing a valuable metal. He bought it and made a sword out of it, then gave it to me, he thought, but his thoughts were cut short as consecutive explosions took place. Not to mention the sound of military choppers moving towards the city. They're here. He got above the nearest building he could find, and the sight before him is unbelievable. Half of Metropolis is already under siege, and the flames scouring the city grows larger by the second. He could see some flying creatures, but the others can pop from nowhere. Shadow clone technique. 60 copies of him were made, and he quickly faced the clones. Listen up. Wear your mask at all times and alert me if you saw the one responsible for this mess. Your main job is to rescue and help the survivors still in the city. Protect them at all cost. The others saluted while the rest gave a roaring sound go. They scattered into the wind except for one. Wait, how do we know if it is their leader or something? Oh. Just if you find a strong creature or something different from the rest of them. Hopefully that's enough, because he doesn't know where to begin as well. He already left a dagger outside the city where he expects the military's ground force to move in, but either way, they'll be away from danger. The Flying Thunder God technique is so complicated that his clones can never do it, and his clones can do a Rasengan, which is a truly hard technique to master. Then again, the Flying Thunder God is a lot more different than the Rasengan. He continued moving randomly towards the area he guessed to be heavy in fighting. Then he saw two people running for their lives from a horde of monsters. Of course, the horde is much faster than any normal human can be, but he sighed as he saw what both women were carrying: a camera. There were journalists thinking they're going to make it in the big leagues if they deliver this story. He dropped in front of them and gestured to the two to stay behind him. Let's hope this works, he muttered to himself. He grabbed the 4 kunai and popped 2 more next to the other kunai. The story of Kakashi telling him of his father's feat, how he decimated an entire platoon in a matter of seconds. Of course, it was obvious how his father did it, but the question remains whether he can actually teleport again and again, and again, and again, at such an alarming rate that the enemies won't see him coming. It was quite funny when Kakashi told him that there's a special horn from the enemies that orders them to retreat, because if that horn roars then his father is there. Your daggers won't work, one of the women complained, her feet starting to tell her to run. Focus. Throw the daggers. And... What the hell happened? The two said in unison. There's no time to talk. He contacted the nearest clone through their connection and ordered the two to be taken to the edge of the city. Hey, Chief, I think I found their leader. He's being attacked by more weirdos, his clone said in his mind. They weren't actually talking, but it's more of a feeling-like thing between the clones and him. Of course, it requires tremendous focus for one to actually feel or talk to them. He asked what weirdos the clone was talking about. They're wearing strange outfits for some reason. He ordered the clone to continue with the main mission, rescuing civilians, and he'll be there to assist those strange people. A little bit closer than before, he could see Superman being pierced by 2 red laser beams that curved when he tried losing it. He didn't exactly saw the guy following Superman, but from the huge symbol of bat on his chest tells him who this man is. He didn't bother following him, but tried reaching the group trying to fight that huge monster below. Their leader, huh? They're trying whatever they can for now, but they'll follow the Batman should he not return fast enough to rescue Superman. Of course, without 2 more from their newly forged group is going to prove quite difficult against their opponent who calls himself as Darkseid. But it didn't matter to her, she is an Amazon, and they don't back down from a fight. Especially from the likes of this person. She looked around and saw them lying on the ground, pushing whatever strength they have to stand up once more. Focus on me if you want to stop me. The fist appeared inches away from her face, and she knew blocking or dodging it is out of the way. She'll just have to take the full force of this punch. What choice does she have? Time seemed to slow down for her, but it didn't mean her reflexes went faster as well. No, it's like a higher being is being cruel, torturing her to slowly watch how she'll get knocked out from this fight. No, if she's going down then she'll take it down with her, and for that to happen she must stand up after this impact. Then blue oceanic eyes met hers. His blonde hair drifting playing tickle with her nose as her eyes continued to lock onto his. Are you okay? She shook her head, realizing that not only was there a man standing so close to her, but the fact that she didn't feel any pain at all. Why, yeah, did she just stutter? No, definitely not. It's because he's still holding on to her hips, yes, that's why. Who are you? Aquaman asked the masked stranger. It only occurred to her that the man was indeed masking his whole face, but despite that short period of time she saw his hair and those piercing blue eyes beyond the holes on his mask. Yes. Who are you? She firmly asked. But it seems like Darkseid was in no mood to let them have his introduction. Her savior didn't have the luxury to introduce himself, as their enemy immediately sprung back to life and attacked him with force they have not yet seen. Darkseid was getting faster as their one-on-one battle continued, leaving her and the others stunned as they watched the spectacle in front of them. This young man, she presumed, is handling his own against an opponent they could not even damage. While the masked blonde is on the defensive, he is too quick for Darkseid to hit. It's as if the battle is between strength and cunning, and the boy is definitely the cunning one. The alien roared, launching that laser beam from his eyes that Superman couldn't even dodge. Green Lantern saw this opportunity to attack the alien, but clearly Darkseid was expecting someone to launch an attack while he is distracted. A giant hammer that shattered as it came on contact with Darkseid's fist, but the two beams chasing her savior is still on pursuit to its target. She could have mistaken it for a second, but she swore she felt the man chased by the red beams to be smiling, as if he was enjoying this moment. She knows that feeling all too well, whenever some Amazon wants to challenge her to a spar, but in this case the whole world is depending on them. He's definitely fast, beyond any normal human, but remains a hint of his speed not being greater to that of the Flash. He dodged it again, flipping towards the direction where Darkseid is standing. Fool! They heard the alien overlord muttered, but the only response from the boy is a dagger thrown towards his face. You think I'll be affected by this puny weapon? He yelled, but he dodged the dagger nonetheless. In the short minute that she saw her savior being in the same league as the Batman, a man who had trained well enough to achieve feats no ordinary human can, changed. In his hand was a bowl of spiraling energy. It was like the winds of nature forming into his hand, and it is so strong it was visible to the naked eye. It was not only her who was shocked to see someone do that, even the Green Lantern who proclaimed he had traveled the stars and beyond was shocked to see this event. No, it wasn't the wind at all, but an energy looking like a force of nature. Darkseid smiled as the dagger was just a foot away from his head, the young masked man 6 feet from him, and the laser which continues to follow its target is only inches. I have to do something, she thought, launching herself to engage that laser. The least she could do is block that attack to give way whatever her savior is planning. However, he disappeared right before her eyes, stopping her movements. It definitely wasn't speed that judged his disappearance, but the simplest explanation to her was teleportation. Darkseid's eyes widened as his target vanished a foot away from him. Instincts guided the alien as he turned around only to meet that ball of energy straight into his face. He groaned, and it was the first time they've heard that genuine groan, meaning it did hurt a lot for the alien. His groan became a scream since those laser beams chasing the masked man before doesn't dodge anything. Sure, they swirl and curve, but only to follow its target. Whoa, the Flash vented, and just when they thought they couldn't be surprised anymore. Wonder Woman, can that rope hold Darkseid? Aquaman yelled to her, and it was pure luck that the man living underwater was right. She threw her lasso around Darkseid and it did its job, wonderfully. Speak, Darkseid. Why are you here? She ordered, and despite anyone's power and invulnerability, no one is an exception to her lasso. Whoever is under the lasso's influence is bound to speak the truth, no matter what question is asked. To addition to being unbreakable, it also holds infinite elasticity. And though it might be used on a group, its effect weakens depending on the number of people tied to the lasso. For her, the alien replied, grabbing hold of the lasso and pulling her within his range. Again, instead of being hit square in the face, she found herself on the arms of her savior, the masked man. We've got to stop meeting like this. He chuckled, before joining in the fray as well, but not before he let her down gently. She cleared her throat, her heart throbbing at an alarming rate. Is it because of a man being so close to her? She now knows that not every man is evil, some of them are capable of doing great deeds. And all the proof she needs is just in front of her, different beings, uniting against a common enemy to save the one world they are in. Still, if this was the effect of a man being close to her, then why hasn't she felt anything with Steve Trevor? And that man confessed the love he is feeling for her. She turned down Steve, obviously, but she's never been an inch away from his face, nor was she carried by Steve in shows she had watched late at night. Bridal style, she thought. A car was flying straight for her, but instead of her vanishing, the car vanished on its path and landed on a different direction. Are you okay? Wonder Woman, if you're unable to fight any longer, then I suggest you fall back into a safer zone. Aquaman said, standing next to her. I don't get it yet, but it seems like he has to throw that daggers to teleport. He hit the car and another dagger flew past it where the car was teleported into. I guess that's his ability. Still, we can't afford to guard you while we're fighting. She snapped out if, Flash suddenly appearing before her. Hey, look, I can get you out of here fast. She shook her head. I'm okay. Let us go, she said, joining the fray once more. They were right though, she can't afford to let whatever she felt just seconds ago to get in the way of saving this world. Still, it was so mysterious, but the feeling was a bit exciting for her. She remembered a time back in Themyscira when she accidentally smashed one of her mother's vase, the nervous yet exciting feeling she felt when Artemis said they'll keep it a secret from her mother. Of course, they were scolded once the queen knew what happened to her vase, which happens to be her favorite, but she won't deny that it was a bit fun and exciting. She noticed her savior's actions getting slower once they are all engaging Darkseid. He just joined the battle, so exhaustion is definitely not the case, and according to Aquaman, he has to throw these daggers before he could teleport. The space around Darkseid is getting cramped, she thought. That's why his ability to move quicker and dish out more damage is weakening. They are on his way, sort of. While that energy ball did some kind of damage, it didn't put Darkseid down, only anger him to some extent and little grazes on his face. Even she felt it too. While they are many and their enemy is unable to hit them all at once, their movements are restricted. That robot-like guy's cannon was definitely a bit weaker, even Aquaman's way with his trident, afraid of hurting an ally, especially Green Lantern, who was using huge green-lit objects to smash Darkseid, is using smaller objects to attack him. They didn't know each other, how they move, how they react, how they breathe, much less how they fight. However, that tactic seems to be working as the alien is completely overwhelmed from all sides. Darkseid began launching out beams from his eyes at different directions. He wasn't losing his composure, but merely giving himself some space to provide a way for his counterattack. Blind him, Green Lantern ordered, and was quickly followed by her and Aquaman, who used their weapons. Darkseid was prepared for it, unfortunately. Do not yell your next move. He grinned, but a dagger and a katana pierced his eyes. A sword and a knife through his eyes, and he's still standing? What else can we do? Lantern grinned. It was definitely a first to all to see an opponent this strong. Though everyone else's eyes rested on the now truly enraged Darkseid, hers however is on the one who threw it. A man of few words, she thought, because the only time he spoke was when he rescued her the second time. Not once did he communicate with any of them, but he definitely proved his worth to be a great warrior, being able to synchronize with warriors who did not know him as well. Well, all of them were good, but it could be better. I am Darkseid. Before anyone else could say anything, Superman appeared, punching Darkseid with both hands, but the larger alien managed to hold himself before Superman. Kryptonian. You are coming back with me, he announced, but Superman retaliated. Everyone is waiting for Cyborg to close the gate when Lantern yelled at him. Diana's eyes lingered at her newfound allies, but the only one who wasn't watching was the masked man. He's standing there, his hands forming that energy ball once more, but this time it wasn't a bright blue energy. It was a purple ball of energy with dark substances lingering inside the ball. He's waiting for the perfect chance to attack Darkseid. Once Darkseid was being sucked onto the doorway Cyborg created, a ball of energy rapidly made its way towards Darkseid's body. It was a lot larger than the previous lighter version he used on Darkseid's face, but she could feel the power of destruction inside that ball. I will read Darkseid was pushed by the black energy ball before the doorway closed. But not before they felt the explosion from the other side. They're gone, she said, but she couldn't believe it either. A few seconds ago there wasn't much progress they had against Darkseid, the next the alien and his army are gone, back to where they came from. Green Lantern handed his hand towards Cyborg, the one who brought them this victory. Nice job, kid, he said, because if it wasn't for the half-human right there, there wouldn't be much left of the whole world. They didn't know the full extent of the damage, but they already assumed that the fight was on a global scale. Gotham and other cities were attacked, but if there's a chance then the United States was the only country hit by the invasion, then there's a sense of relief that not did too many suffered from the wrath of Darkseid. A few days later, the President of the United States gave a full-long speech about the heroes that were once considered as freaks and vigilantes. They're no longer the threat humanity once saw them, but while many shared this same opinion about their saviors, some aren't still convinced about the act of heroism they've shown. The internet is already flooded by conspiracy theory about how the government used monsters so they could show the people that their colorful warriors aren't to be feared, only to be controlled by the government sooner or later. Wait. Is this a costume? My friend once used this attire, and it's definitely a uniform, Naruto said, after hearing the president told the world that they are wearing costumes. Aquaman agreed, telling him that his armor was the general attire of Atlantis warriors. However, Green Lantern suggested that the necklace worn by Arthur has got to go, which Naruto agrees with. He's still wearing his mask and he plans to do so until this all over. Identity is one of the things he guards most. Kakashi told him that they are never out of danger, but nothing specific was told to him. Still, he plans to follow Kakashi's words. He already saw how the world is trying to figure out the identity of Superman, and the last thing he wants is a pool of humans on his doorstep. Can his doorstep handle a tsunami of reporters? Definitely not. I shouldn't be up here, Victory said. While they shared a moment of victory right after their uncertain victory, he told no one of his name. Of course, they asked for his codename, which he hasn't even thought up yet. So he will let the people decide what his name will be, but the last thing he'd want as a nickname is Masked Man or Ninja Man. That's definitely something he won't accept. Naruto gave a sigh. Look, you're the one who defeated Darkseid and pulled the aliens back to their planet. Without you, I doubt we'd be here celebrating this moment of victory. Victor looked at him, confused of his words. That guy, he'll return for sure. And he won't underestimate us this time. Flash nodded, so did Batman, who inserted a few words about them being prepared for the worst. So, have you thought of a name yet? Flash asked Naruto, because the internet is already calling you Ninja Boy. Wow. That's definitely worse than I imagine. He grimaced at the thought. Imagining a reporter on the scene he's in. Ninja Boy once more saved the civilians of our glorious city, and the people chanting Ninja Boy. Ninja Boy. Ninja Boy. He shuddered at the thought of it. I'll come up with something, eventually. He whispered loud enough, earning him a pat on the back. Can you believe this? Lantern said, grabbing the attention of the other 7. In the short time he'd known the Green Lantern, he knew that there are only 2 things spewing out of his mouth. Something important or nonsense. He hoped that it's not the latter. That the people are afraid of us? Diana asked. That everyone thinks we're a team. We are not a team. And it's the latter. And we're not friends either. Naruto gave a sigh, thinking about how stubborn and arrogant this man can be. A scene popped to his head where he yelled, Green Lantern got this, only to end up flying to the nearest building. Batman intervened, telling him that the people should think they are a team. Why? Because it'll keep Gotham PD off my back. The Air Force off yours. Cameras are everywhere, and they're at the very least smart enough to not let the people hear them. Arthur groaned. I don't have time to belong to a team. I've got other responsibilities. And the others started arguing, Cyborg asking Lantern if he could fly into space when he mentioned protecting an entire universe. Superman intervened, telling them that he too can fly to space. Naruto may not have been into a team, but at least he knows how to act in one. After all, it's just like the projects he did back in high school, right? Being friendly and respectful, but also making sure that you're doing your job. Though he still has to ask Kakashi about him joining something like this. What if something like this happens again? Batman said. What are the chances of that? As if on cue, an aide to the president moved towards the most power man on the world to discuss something. And judging by the way he's whispering to the president, and his eyes landing on them, they figured it was for them. I'm sorry, but we've got trouble. Your kind of trouble, I'd guess. We need your team again. The president said, loud enough for the cameras to hear. We have a name, Mr. President, Flash said, grinning at the leader of the United States. We do? You do? You can call us the Super 7. Yeah, we'll think of something better. 2 hours later. The mission wasn't that hard, and after a long thinking from each and every one of them, they decided to call their team the Justice League. However, dude, you're just like the coolest from them all, Victor explained, sitting on the couch comfortably as he took another slice of pizza. Superman is busy. Batman is busy and creepy. Flash is already nowhere to be found. Green Lantern is like a jerk, sort of. I'm not allowed to go to Atlantis. And I feel like I'd be sliced to half if I get any closer within Wonder Woman, he told him. It was pointless to be honest. Victor knew of his identity the instant he looked at him. It was all thanks to Metropolis University that he found out his identity. Apparently, one of the many abilities Cyborg has is to analyze one's fingerprint after he touched them. And of course, his record can be easily found as well. It's not like the security system of the university is of the same league as with the White House. Naruto gave a sigh of defeat. Okay, but you're going to have to say sorry to Batman later. Cyborg raised an eyebrow at his words. Because I heard it all. A low rumbling deep voice came from behind Cyborg's ears. Naruto laughed as Cyborg gave a girlish scream, which was covered quickly. What? How long have you been here? Wait, he knows? Naruto nodded. How? Because I'm Batman. A smile formed on the bat's lips. Then a knock came from his door. The other two still costumed heroes stared at him fine. I'll get it. But he smiled as he heard Cyborg asking Batman how he knew Naruto's identity. Yes, may I help you? Two people were standing on his doorstep. And he has to admit, they both look really good. As if the two are models who are dating. However, the question remains the same, what are they doing here? The man almost laughed. Sorry, I forgot. My name is Clark Kent. His hand turned towards the second person. This is Diana Prince. He raised his eyebrow. We fought together earlier? Clark said, keeping a hushed voice. Then that's when it clicked. Wait. How did you know? Dude, I'm Superman. He whispered. I can hear your heartbeat when we fought, and memorized it quickly. I also know that you're keeping two costumed vigilantes inside. He smiled, Naruto asking if it was the heartbeat as well. No. X-ray vision. Naruto's eyes landed on Diana's. She just wanted to come as well. Why yes. She cleared her throat. I wanted to thank you when you saved me a couple of times. She finished, straightening herself. He sighed. Come in. He gestured them to enter his humble home. Bruce, buy some more pizza for us, okay? Superman said, appearing in a flash next to Batman. I am not Bruce. I'm Batman. This is going to be a long night, Naruto muttered. He got home right after one of the most successful exams he had taken in the history of his life. Sure, the results won't be shown to them for quite some time now, but he's definitely confident that he'll graduate in the next month or so. Everyone in the Justice League had their own life and they understood how important it was for him to graduate, especially Superman, who experienced the whole ordeal. They're both aliens, both babies when they're sent to this planet, but the only difference is that Clark's world had ended, and Naruto still doesn't know his. He immediately grabbed a bottle of beer before he sat down on his couch. Thanks to Bruce Wayne, who was more than enough to give him all that extra money to rebuild and make his apartment as comfortable as he could. Still, he didn't like helping the Batman fight crime in Gotham City. But it's not because Batman is creepy, weird, and that stare which goes right through one's soul. No, he doesn't like helping him because of the city. Gotham is like a city born from hell itself. The place was a lot different than Metropolis, the exact opposite if compared. It's as if the sun never visits the place, the gloomy sky, the smoke coming out from buildings, and the people walking all around. Sure, there's happiness and content on the better part of the city, but in the lowest part of it? And a man wearing a bat costume seems to add this dreadful place even more so. But he gets to save people and see the smile on their face when he saves them. It's one of the best feelings he got after joining the Justice League. Sure, the fame and glory, being put on news channels, celebrity talk shows, and even more was nice, but nothing beats the face of a civilian that he had protected. And I'm feeling well about this exam. Be ready, if I pass each one of my courses I'll graduate. He's been texting Kakashi in the past few weeks, but not a single reply entered his phone. He knows Kakashi is more than fine, but the feeling of him not replying to his messages still sends dark feelings toward his stomach. He stretched his arms, opening the television, and there's definitely the Justice League on a celebrity channel. The topic of it is Diana and Steve Trevor, the man who got dumped by Wonder Woman. He pitied the guy, honestly, but he knew from the very beginning that Steve was nothing more than a friend for Wonder Woman. Diana has been more than open about her relationship with Steve, but like everyone else, she too keeps secrets of her own. Not to mention that she often visits his house whenever another member is here. Like Green Lantern, Flash, and everyone else in the league, he too finds Diana to be a very attractive woman despite him having no experience dating before. It was simply nature for men to clash their eyes with a thing they find attractive. The same goes for women too. Up next, we'll talk about the nameless hero of the Justice League. He's ventured back to the television as they're about to talk about him. It seems that no one, not even him, has thought of a name for his hero identity. It wasn't much of a big deal to him, but he doesn't like being called Ninja Boy or other ridiculous nicknames out there. He gives his sympathy to the younger man called Robin. Instead of his name, which he literally has a letter on his chest, he is called Boy Wonder. Which, let's be honest, is a ridiculous name. And we are back. The show is back, and this time there's a small number of women sitting beside the host. Now, let's talk about this nameless crusader who was seen in the Battle of Metropolis a few weeks ago. Many of the women lives in Metropolis, but he remembers the most recent woman he had saved, a blonde like him, but she's definitely a challenging woman to rescue. Instead of leaving after he saved her, she insisted on a few pictures to remember him by, with his mask on, of course. But that few pictures ended up with 100+ pictures, not to mention that woman's friends was nearby. Still, he did his job well and is proud of it. Now, what can you tell about this man? Olivia, you're one of the very few people who got close to him. What does he sound like? Part of him didn't want to hear this, but another wanted to hear what they have to say about him. He's definitely dreamy, even with the mask on. I got a few pictures with him, but his voice is like of an angel. Naruto nearly spilled his drink upon hearing that statement. He's expecting he's a great guy, saves people, blah. 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 But not 1% of him expected that statement. I know he is handsome like Superman, but for younger people, you know? Okay, it's definitely time to change the channel. If he was so goddamn handsome, why didn't the girls on both his high school and college fawn over him? She's just thinking that because he saved her, and because he is popular. His hero part, that is. A crackling sound, not loud enough, went throughout his apartment. Batman. He immediately felt his presence, and he knows the Dark Knight is nowhere near to be in the fun zone right now. What do you need? If he is visiting him here with his costume here, then things must be pretty dire somewhere. Wait, this isn't about Catwoman, is it? The Bat's curiosity cup was filled upon hearing Catwoman. He immediately asked what happened with Naruto on his last mission. She creeps me out, you know. She licked her lips and continued staring at me, and I have no idea why. I mean, does she want to eat me? Batman coughed on his last words, but maintained composure, as always. She's not carnivorous, is she? Batman let out a sigh of relief. Thank God this guy is an idiot when it comes to women. He silently thought to himself. No. And that's not why I am here. Let's go back to the watchtower. Something bad happened. His vision immediately changed from his apartment to the watchtower. Like Batman had said, something bad did happen, but judging from his team's look and the technology still intact, the battle was done in seconds. While grateful that the watchtower is still in one piece, there's an ominous feeling inside his gut that tells him this guy took down the Justice League without collateral damage. Even Darkseid was unable to defeat them, and there's destruction everywhere. Talk to me, Bats, I don't want to go blind against this guy, Naruto said, sitting beside Diana, who seems to be the most troubled of all. Are you okay? She looked at him in the eyes and nodded weakly. A minute was all it took for them to form a plan. It wasn't foolproof, but it is the best they've got, considering there's not much time they can spare after knowing Graves is after Steve Trevor's sister. With the help of the boom tube, once more they are able to infiltrate themselves inside the house. No one was there except a woman who is crying desperately, and engaging Wonder Woman to an argument which she blames her for Steve's downfall. Steve and Graves were nowhere to be found though. It's as if Graves vanished the moment they arrived. He didn't like this at all. Someone who could expect them is an enemy worth investigating. Unlike the Joker, Clayface, and other creepy weirdo he has encountered both in and out of Gotham, there's not a single enemy who could have anticipated his movements. However, it might prove to be a worthy battle after all, if not for the spirits and such. Still, he has the perfect counter for that kind of attack. Months of being with the Justice League and he still hasn't told them the two biggest secret he has. One was his eyes, which only the Batman knows, and the other is still a secret. Give me a moment with her, Naruto requested, and the members went outside for a quick breather. Ma'am, I'm very sorry for what happened. For all of it. The world sees us as superheroes who could be there the moment they're in danger, but that's not true at all. We are like you, we live, we feel, we get tired, and everything a human is. What we can do for the world is save those we can, while we can, and I promise you that we will save Steve. She nodded, and he offered a smile. Even if it cost me my life. She questioned him why save Steve even if it meant his life, but he simply smiled and answered. Because that's what heroes do, isn't it? He offered another smile and shut the door behind him. His eyes widened as he saw Diana broke through Lantern's bubbled prison with a single punch, but that punch also hit Lantern that sent him flying straight to a car. Lantern didn't give much time before he flew towards Diana, but Naruto already threw a dagger between them. He teleported there and kicked Lantern back to where he took off. After that, he sent another kick towards Diana, who was already expecting it, but it still forced her to land on the ground. Stay where you are, Lantern. You too, Wonder Woman, he shouted, forcing everyone to put their attention on the masked swordsman. Wonder Woman, this is a League mission, not a personal vendetta against Graves. The moment he talked to Wonder Woman was the moment she charged at him. No one will interfere. He earned a nod from Batman, who told everyone to stand down. Of all the time we've sparred, you've never won against me, she roared, but he remained calm as he thought of options how to disable Diana without hurting her too much. What she said was true though, he never won against her because he always lost on purpose. She's filled with anger as she continued charging towards him with her sword on her hand. No one can stop me. I have to save my friend. Naruto sighed, but vanished as soon as the sword was an inch away from him. Steve has helped us a lot in the past few months, But no matter what your feelings for him may be, you're not alone, not when you've joined the Justice League. Victor whispered immediately to Batman that this was being broadcasted live on every television network on the whole world. Batman was conflicted with this. Naruto was putting a great display of teamwork for the whole world. That even when in their greatest distress the Justice League can and is still united. However, if this fight has gone out of control, he'll think of a solution later on. This is my fight. Steve is in trouble because of me. I won't let a friend die because me. And we feel the same way. Isn't that why I'm stopping you right now? Because we don't want our friend to die. And because we're going to rescue the one man responsible for the Justice League's continued existence. Naruto knew he is right. Steve is the one normal person who's talking to the government for the Justice League. Not many would do that despite them praising and singing their names on the street. No. Steve was in love with me, and every second I waste here he loses his chance of survival. Naruto shook his head, pitying and annoyed at Diana at the same time. Then let's make a deal. Diana growled, but she didn't protest. Since you are so eager to fight me, we will. If you win, you get to charge Graves all by yourself, but if you lose, we'll join you. Does that sound fair to you? Then I'll finish this quickly, she announced, and some of the bystanders cheered for her. Well, they were all men wearing a shirt with Diana's face printed on it. She can't win against him, Batman muttered, but Cyborg heard it loud enough to ask what he means. After all, most of them watched Diana sparring with Naruto since he is mostly the only one who can handle Diana, and Superman is unavailable due to Mississippi Lane. Still, the Amazon has never been defeated. Victor raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? I've already analyzed the percent of victory on this battle and it's not looking too good. He finished, but that's all the data he took from him when he's sparring with Diana. Bruce shook his head. I saw him while I was watching him in Gotham. He's got more powers than us combined, I think. I know all of your technique. You cannot win against an Amazon who knows your every move. Naruto jumped, throwing his sword instead of his kunai, confusing Diana in the process. She knew every technique he has, how he uses them to the best of his abilities, and how he wins battle without consuming much time and energy. However, she knows that dagger's weird lettering was the sign he needed to teleport himself there, and that sword hasn't got that sign at all. She dodged it with ease, the sword on her back piercing the cold hard cement. Her eyes shifted for a moment from the sword, and now her head is turning towards where Naruto was, midair. You're dead, what? Her instincts reacted immediately, and she spins her foot for a kick. She landed the blow on his stomach, but instead of flying towards the direction of her kick, he turned into lightning and immediately shocked Diana, forcing her on the ground. Is that what you were talking about, Batman? Despite her body still feeling the electricity jolting on her body, she heard Victor. It's as if they know something about Naruto that she doesn't. Why does she care anyway? No, she knows everything about him. She always invited forced him into sparring with her, and she studied him and his every move. But what he just did was a first for her. No, it was the first time they saw him do that. Why is she focusing on who knows everything about him anyway? She shook her head and stood up. No, what I saw was him pushing Joker towards a wall with nothing but a wave of his hand. I have no records of that on any computer available. She groaned. There's another talk about him that she doesn't know about. Yelled Diana. Don't do this on your own, you have us, your friends. Well, friends don't electrify their other friends, right? She swings her sword only for him to vanish once more. It was getting annoying to her, how he wouldn't handle everything like Superman. Face me, coward! She hated that fact that she's being outsmarted and falling to his cunning plays like a little girl. Then there he is, standing 20 feet away from her. You do know that you're a lot stronger than me, and I'm not like you or Superman, who's virtually indestructible. He grabbed his sword, swinging it with gracefulness that she can't help but admire. She remembered the feeling she had the moment he carried her like a bride. Her heart throbbing with excitement, but in this case, it's because of the battle that's about to happen. But if you insist, let's fight this with our sword. First to bleed loses, he announced, and she nodded. True. Her strength and her ability to fly is a disadvantage for him, but his strength isn't like the Batman's. No. He can punch Superman and the Man of Steel would feel it, but there's no argument about her being stronger than Naruto. She, after all, is a goddess. He's standing there right in front of her before he vanished in front of her very eyes. It wasn't teleportation because she definitely felt the air where he passed through, behind her. She quickly blocked the incoming attack, but was followed by a series of kicks, punches, and another attempt to wound her. What frustrates her even more is that she hasn't damaged him at all, not even once. As always, her forearm guards are helpful in blocking out his weapon. The battle continued with her being forced into a defensive stance. Even without his teleportation, his speed is of a level near Flash, maybe even faster, but in a different way. What she noticed is that he seems to be able to move at any direction with speed compared to Flash. It's different from running, and is short-ranged. It's like his body is flickering before vanishing and appearing. But she's still on the defensive, taking hits again and again. As expected of an Amazon. Holding off an attack that can be barely seen. She smirked. He was enjoying this, as was she. She didn't like losing, but fighting an opponent this strong with the sword is definitely worth her respect. He's not the guy who was always losing before her, but now that she timed to think about it, she now knew that he was only letting her win. Though the reason why still clouds her. But Steve doesn't have the luxury, so. In one flash, not even a second, he vanished, but as she turned around she felt a stab of pain on her right arm. It was bleeding. She was defeated by a man. All the time she had spent here in man's world, she expected Superman to be the one who could put her down, but instead she got this blonde young man who's just finishing college at the age of 18, and whose blue eyes pierce through hers. She is defeated, she knows it, but while he may have won this battle, the war is far from over. He offered his hand for her to stand up, and when she did, she felt an energy surrounded her. She can see a cloak of transparent red energy that's rejuvenating her. She looked at the rest of the League and the people around them with their jaws dropped. What? She quickly checked if she was wearing her clothes. Apparently, people on man's world are afraid to show one's body towards another. At least, when it in public, that is. And there's a law about nudity which she understands well enough. Why your wounds? She checked her body, looking for the very first thing on her mind was the wound from Naruto's sword. Gone. She checked the other areas of her body which was aching seconds ago, gone. Not even the bruise that formed after that first physical attack he threw at her. They're all gone. Wait, I feel like I just got up from bed full of energy. She looked at him in the eye and he grinned. She smiled back. Let's go get Steve, he offered, and she immediately nodded with her hand firm grasped on his arm. Cyborg. Get us out of here, Batman said. On it. They're all walking towards the mythical place of the Valley of Souls, a land where they believe Graves is. And if their target is indeed there, then they can expect that Steve Trevor is in that location as well. He didn't know who this man was, he never have, but this guy believed in them more than they believed in the Justice League themselves. It was humiliating for him to notice the fact that the 8 of them aren't even as close as the news and the people believe them to be. This man created a book about them, their heroics, and how they are just your typical people as well, who has lives of their own yet willing to risk theirs so that others may sleep peacefully at night. He trusted them so much that when they failed him he just snapped, falling into a delusional state where there's no heroes in this world. Diana slowed her pace down in order to walk with him. Are you okay? He nodded, because he is. But the idea of him, or the others failing to save the others when they needed them is scary, something he doesn't want to think about yet failing to remove it from his mind. Naruto, we are not to blame for his actions. You know as much as we do that we can't save everyone. She looked at him with determined eyes. He snorted, coming from someone who can't teleport. She frowned, but it was nothing but the truth. His abilities are only limited by his mind, the capabilities of his power is boundless, not just someone who can punch through walls and save a family surrounded by fire. He can't fly, that's for sure, but they can't move from one place to another without leaving a trace of their movement. Yes, not even Superman can remove the clouds cut through half because he flew too fast. He sighed, I'm sorry. It's just that this man believed at us more than we believe ourselves. We failed him and his family. We did not. Batman interjected, gaining everyone's attention as they continued their walk through the snowy mountain towards the Valley of Souls, if Graves was correct and wasn't a lunatic about him and his powers. Not that Naruto was thinking everyone had lost their mind, but he never got the chance to meet this Graves when he attacked the watchtower. You all know that his family was gone by the time he recovered, right? They nodded. He snapped, shot his doctor, and vanished. It is quite a disappointment that we failed him when he believed at us, but he is nothing more but a confused criminal right now. Remember, we protect the innocent, even against those who were once innocent. He is right. Graves is a threat not only for the Justice League but for everyone else as well. Superman joined. Victor cleared his throat, not to mention Steve. We have to save the dude before he's in even more danger. Aquaman and Lantern agreed. They were wasting time in a desolated place where snow is everything one can see as far as their eyes go. They all agreed that saving Steve was more important than what is on their mind at the moment. A life is at stake. And it is because of them that this man is in this situation. They found themselves at an ancient ruin that was long lost in time, but a few books contained information about this place, and everyone thought it was nothing more but a myth. He can almost hear himself laugh at this. Atlantis was once thought to be a myth, something that never even had existed, but here stands the very man leading the kingdom under the sea. Does comic books and mumbo-jumbo stuffs contains more truth than our history books? He thought to himself, earning a glance from Diana as he softly laughed. Diana? He looked around only to see a mist forming around them. He noticed how the others around him are seeing different people, and judging how the team is reacting, those people must be very close to them. Except, there's nothing on him, Kakashi, the few people he came to know, and James, the chef at his own restaurant. Diana! He rushed towards her side as Graves, a reptilian-looking fellow with a face on his torso, walked towards her. A loud deafening sound echoed throughout the ruin. His eyes darted towards the direction of the sound. Steve! He launched himself towards Graves with a raisin gun on his hand. He buried his hands on Graves as he's launched towards Aquaman, who had already escaped the clutches of Graves' power. He pierced David Graves' back with his trident. Diana managed to free herself finally, but she wasted no time charging towards David. Naruto already saw this and immediately stopped her from ending David's life. He shook his head, telling her it's not worth it. Why? Why did you take my family away? He screamed, his eyes filled with water that can no longer be contained. Tears flowed downward as the remains of his family's face is on the very ground he's crawled onto. Just kill me. Let me be with them, he managed to say between his sobs. Those weren't your family. But I think you already knew that, Mr. Graves. Washington, D.C., Argus Medical Facility. Diana? Steve's voice was so weak and fragile it was almost like she's not talking to the real Steve. How bad do I look? She said hi to him and informed him of his current status. A few broken ribs, some broken fingers, and some internal bleeding and head trauma. She smiled faintly. You look fine, Steve. Then a minute of silence before she decided to speak again. This was my fault. She couldn't look at him properly in the eye. Barely being able to contain her emotion is something Diana is never experienced with. Steve Trevor is her very first friend outside her world. He is precious to her much more than what the media had to say about it. Steve replied by asking her if she's doing this again. You nearly died, Steve. And she's afraid of the uncertainty of feelings she'll have if she loses someone precious to her. He tried to get up with every strength he had, something only true warriors could do. But even the best-known warriors known to man's world is limited by his or her normality. Still, there are people who excelled far beyond the line that was drawn by themselves. Just like Bruce. I've nearly died 100 times, Diana. I'm a government agent. And I was out on the field protecting the world long before I met you. She sighed, but this time you were tortured and beaten and almost killed because of our relationship. She said, her eyes closed as she knows what is to come. Our relationship? Relationship? He hissed. We didn't have a relationship. Not for you anyway. I am nothing more but the man you'll only consider as nothing more than a friend. You're still too close, she said with determination. She didn't lie when she told Steve long ago that she liked him, but things changed after Darkseid's attack. Friends. Yes, that's all she could think of Steve, and her indecisiveness is humiliating. She thought she and Steve could be something more, as men would like to call it, but things had changed. She's too different for him. Steve laughed, but with venom each exhale he gave. Too close? The only time I've seen you in these past few months is on a computer. She's making it worse. Why are you still working with the League? Because the League needs me. I protect the League from all the red tape and fear-mongering that festers in Washington. She can feel his eyes forcing its way onto hers. Just live. I've protected you from it. The day you came here. I don't need protecting. The League doesn't either. Why does she have to continue this? She wants to just walk away from this as much as possible, but part of her wanted to finish the job of pushing her first friend away. We can take care of ourselves. You know that. He sighed. So, you think I head up ARGUS just so I can be near you? He grit his teeth. I thought you weren't like everyone else. I thought you didn't think I was a puppy dog following you around. We're going to ask for a new liaison. He chuckled. The press will have fun with this. Steve Trevor dumped by Wonder Woman again. Isn't that something? Steve, I didn't mean. Please, Diana. Just go. I'm tired, really tired. Somewhere in Washington, D.C. Diana. She turned her head to see the man who had saved her countless of times from all of the missions they had. How is Steve doing? Naruto asked, his blonde hair shining brightly as the moonlight's bright light reflects on his golden hair. Angry. She sighed, the two of them sitting on the roof where the statue of Abraham Lincoln is seated. When I first came here from Paradise Island, I was shocked to see that men and women weren't at war like I'd grown up believing. She stared at him. They're in relationship. For a short time, I thought their relationships were simple. If they liked one another, they were together, but I couldn't have been more wrong. He removed his mask and let out a deep exhale. I've never been in a relationship, but I always knew they were complicated. For us, even more so. I mean, I was a shadow to the world, so used to being seen yet unseen to know their everyday lives. You have another identity, right? He nodded. The student living alone in an apartment. Naruto Namikaze. Then why create an identity when you're on duty with the Justice League? I guess I wanted to protect the people I'm close to. I don't want our enemies to use them as a hostage for us to surrender. I don't think I'll be able to sleep at night if my loved ones got hurt. You never mentioned your family. Kakashi Hatake. She stared at him. The words that he had used was so foreign to her. My father's student. You know I'm not from this world, right? She nodded. Well, the only person that was from my world is Kakashi. He won't tell me what happened to our planet or the fate of my parents. She always thought they were alive. Whenever she and other League members like Clark, Bruce, and Victor visits his apartment, there are pictures of his parents. The pictures are all I had to know what they looked like. I wasn't even a year old when I was transported into this world. I know their culture, their arts, and almost their daily life, but not their fate. She held his hand. We're not like the gods and goddesses, but we're not like them either. We're not like anyone. People like us are really alone, aren't we? He kept his silence, staring at the road beneath them. Do you ever feel alone? She asked. I have always been alone. She reached out her hand to his face and guided his lips to hers. And they continued in that moment as the moon watches over them from above, providing the light needed for this moment. Everyone started to see what the League is all about. Slowly, they knew inside their hearts that the heroes wearing each of their own costumes are here to help them. However, while the League is celebrating their current victories against the tide of darkness, they all know it was a matter of time before somebody overpowers them. The battle for the throne of Atlantis was a clear message to them that they can't save everyone, not even when a certain young man can multiply himself. The fastest man on the world, the greatest detective, the man of steel, the goddess from Olympus, a guardian of the galaxy, a cyborg, the king under the sea. But while their titles hold a great deal for the people, they also have their limitations. Vic, dude, where are you? Batman has started the meeting. Where are you? He sighed. He really didn't want to do anything right now, but there's nothing he could now that they have to be role models for the hero tryouts. Diana's words were still echoing inside his ears, telling him that the kiss just happened and they have a responsibility to protect this realm from any sort of danger. He agreed with her completely, but if she truly had feelings for him, then she wouldn't just let that go for such reason, right? He asked Clark about it after his work, offering him a free cup of coffee before they start their shift. He told him about the kiss and Clark laughed, offered a smile, and told him that Diana liked him and is still confused and doubtful about what happened to Steve. Who doesn't believe Superman? The world's greatest superhero isn't just for show or smashing things into nothing more but dust. Still, he wasn't fully convinced and asked Bruce Wayne, the greatest detective and a playboy when he is Bruce Wayne. But Bruce had an entirely different opinion than Clark's. Diana knew what she was doing and acted only on the moment, is what Bruce said. And as much as he doesn't want to admit it, Diana's words a day after their kiss was an arrow hitting the bullseye. Bruce was right, she only needed something to let her emotions go off, and it got him thinking that it didn't matter who was beside her that time, the end result is still the same. Naruto, just woke up. I'm on my way. He's not depressed about it at all. Sure, he felt a little hurt, but only because he was expecting more when it was nothing more but a simple kiss. It's because he felt too awkward around Diana when for her it seems like nothing happened at all. It got more awkward when she would hold his hand and drag him towards their sparring room, because he was the best when it comes to sparring, according to Diana. It was awkward and confusing, but he is thankful that he could remain focused whenever they are on the job. What was she supposed to do back then? It was a stupid decision that felt right when their lips touched, but how cruel can she truly be? Steve was expecting more from their friendly relationship, and right after she made it clear for the last time she kissed another man. Secretly, she had kissed Steve Trevor because she also found him attractive, but it was more of an experiment to kiss a man rather than connected with each other. She could see for the past few weeks that Naruto have been too quiet whenever they are alone. But she wouldn't lie when she saw him smile when they were going at each other with their full strength, and that's why she always dragged him towards their training center whenever she can. Most of the people trying to enter the Justice League are inexperienced save from a few like Nightwing who trained under the watchful eyes of Batman. She couldn't get her mind straight. All of the thoughts continued to run back towards that night where she and Naruto kissed. It was perfect, at least that's what she felt, but she is right to push him away as well. There's too many things that are at risk should they engage in an intimate relationship, but maybe when there's stability on both the League and the world. She laughed inside. They all knew how fragile the League is now, no matter how many people think they're an invincible force to counter the stem of evil. Her heart skipped a beat as the man who plagued her thoughts appeared from nowhere, as usual. It must be convenient not needing the boom tube to transport him in or out of the watchtower. Every hero knew at the watchtower was looking at him. He was like Superman, but in a different sort of way. She even saw an article on the internet about a battle between Naruto and Superman. There even was an article about her. And it's about how big is her mountains. Thankfully, her allies and newfound friends seems to know a lot about the internet to let her know that it was pretty normal for someone so popular. Hey bro! Nightwing giving Naruto a high five, which he returned nicely. Thanks for the help last week. It was an absolute nightmare when I got knocked out by Poison Ivy, but thankfully Batman had already sent you as backup. She saw Naruto shuddered for a moment, which Nightwing responded with a vigorous laugh. The blonde narrowed his eyes for a second and Nightwing raised his hands in surrender. Hey, I didn't told anyone about what happened. The interview continued as planned. The Justice League didn't need them to showcase their set of powers, for they have already battled alongside them in their own territories. But the question of being a full-time member is still in question. They need people who could watch over the planet while the others are resting. Darkseid nearly conquered this planet because every hero was divided, but they got lucky enough to momentarily defeat him and put the whole world safe for now. But how long before Darkseid would try and claim the world once again? They don't have that kind of luxury, not when Darkseid is that strong and has an army of monsters. The Justice League only chose 5 recruits to add to their roster, but it was only because the remaining few are too busy with their own lives and duty, while the others simply wanted another hero on the League. Trust is the biggest issue around the League. Being the greatest power in Earth and the most trusted by the public eye, they have a reputation to keep. If they chose heroes just because of their powers, then outrageous rumors would suddenly pop. If the newly recruited hero would suddenly turn rouge or be in a scandalous accident, then they, the Justice League, would have to deal with that matter as well. ARGUS can only do so much of the cleanup that they would leave behind. A week later. Firestorm is probably the closest hero he's been with ever since the Justice League formally recruited them. The young boys fuse together and comes a man who can manipulate energy. But despite all of those impressive feats, the one thing he came to truly like about Firestorm is his badass hair. The rest of the League, save for him and the new recruits, are on a mission when Despero attacked. Thankfully, the others weren't too much on his way and he defeated him quickly. But he's not lying when he found Despero to be strong. Not to mention that they were inside the watchtower, and the last thing he needed is for it to fall towards Earth. Catching a falling space station the size of a building isn't really his forte. Dude, I just got a call from Batman that we're off to Kondak. Cyborg will meet us on the watchtower, and we're off to Kondak. The two said in unison, as if they were already Firestorm. And in the blink of an eye, the 2 high school kids are now the fiery-haired member of the Justice League, Firestorm. Cyborg explained the situation to them immediately, that a new metahuman known as Shazam had just invaded the border of Kondak. But the worst thing is the man named Shazam doesn't seem to know that he has invaded a border already. Another problem involves is the magic that they were all so unfamiliar with. While Superman still considers his powers to be magic, he doesn't really believe him. It was simply chakra, the energy within, but his tricks definitely looks like one would see in a magic show. Disappearing here and there. Vic, where's Wonder Woman and Superman? Naruto asked. If they were going to deal with an unknown element, or something they weren't so familiar with, then he needs the 2 strongest allies in the League. Wonder Woman came from a magical island known as Themyscira or Paradise Island, and the fact that she is the daughter of Zeus, king of the Greek gods, highest ruler on Mount Olympus, then she's definitely somewhat experienced with the magical stuffs. Superman, on the other hand, is the most resilient person amongst all of them. After all, his title as the Man of Steel isn't just for show. And he encountered an opponent once who uses magic to strengthen his physical attributes while maintaining a hint of magic on his physical body, making him both effective on magic and close-quarter combat. They're on their way to Kondak. Batman and the others are already on Kondak, making their way through Shazam, but I doubt that they would be the first to arrive than Superman. There was a long pause before Naruto decided to speak up. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Before anyone could add something to his words, the doors popped open and their Zatanna walked towards them with haste. You weren't with Batman already? She shook her head, enlightening them that she received the call only a few minutes ago and had to prepare herself before telling Cyborg to teleport her to the watchtower. Sorry, man. Zatanna was talking to me and that's why I wasn't able to respond. He shook his head anyway. Let us go. I'm sure they are already there at the scene. The last he heard from Batman was that the Kondak Air Force are still chasing after Shazam. Bats took another jet with him, but the Watchtower's dock for spaceships aren't limited to just one. ARGUS. Selina Kyle didn't like this plan at all, not one bit of it. Their mission, as Trevor had just announced earlier, is to make the Justice League look bad so the people wouldn't expect too much from the Justice League. The JLA is, after all, controlled by the US government to eradicate the Justice League should they go rogue, not set them up to make them look like rogues. Most of them feels the same way with this disgusting mission, but they didn't have much of a choice. Unlike the League, who isn't fully controlled by the government, they are able to do their missions at will. But despite the freedom they have with how they treat their enemies, the JLAs are still a bit dirtier than how the Justice League operates. Yeah, Batman likes his criminals beaten up badly, but the point why he does those things is to teach them a lesson of what will happen next should they do something wrong again. It wasn't really effective in Gotham since most of the population there are sociopaths and would do anything to survive. She knew that feeling too well. They want us to force the Justice League to do something? This is crazy, even for me. Said by a man she'd forgotten the name of. She's too busy thinking about what will happen after they provoke the League. Superman, strongest hero. Batman, greatest detective and her rival as well. Wonder Woman, a Greek goddess who is almost on par with Superman. Aquaman, a guy who can fucking summon creatures of the deep. Cyborg, a man who doesn't know the word impossible so long as computers and other tech are involved. Flash, the fastest man on the world. Green Lantern, well, at least they have a lantern here as well. And the new recruits whose fame is already growing for their current deeds. The Justice League has saved the world countless times. We should be there to support them. Dr. Light said, whoever the fuck that guy is. She should try and solve this internal problem of theirs without violence. Whatever it is they are doing there, Batman is right there. And I know the guy for a long, long time. I say we should trust them. After all, Batman was the crusader of the Crusaders. If there's even a pint-sized evil within the League, then Batman would have taken action by now. She knew him so well that not even Superman would be able to prevent the Dark Knight from taking action. He fears no one, no, he fears everyone. That is why he's so paranoid about people like Superman. Your judgment is clouded, Selina. Your personal investment is making it so. Katana said, the person whom this woman samurai is going to take on is the mysterious Kitsune. The fox-masked man whom she had tried to seduce whenever she had the chance to do so. Besides, I cannot wait to challenge Kitsune on a sword match. After all, he took down the great Wonder Woman not too long ago. Behind the mask she could feel Katana's excitement. She can't blame her as well. The feeling for her to steal an item that's deemed impossible is exciting as well. He's far stronger than most of us. Selina uttered, but enough for everyone to hear. Their gaze set upon her as she stared at them back. You saw what he threw at Darkseid before that alien dick went back to his world. Trevor and the rest of the attack choppers were recording every second of the battle. One of the main reasons why the military was so late as well. The government wanted videos of the alien and their capabilities, and they've managed to record the battle between Darkseid and the people known now as the Justice League. That dark energy ball the same size as a human was as strong as a tactical nuke. Can you survive that? We both know that they only took the level of energy there, and hasn't been fully classified as a tactical nuke. And to answer your question, no. I won't survive that, but so does his allies who are in the perimeter as well. She smiled wickedly. The lower part of her face is the only exposed area on her entire body. Besides, he's no coward that he would use that recklessly. After all, he only blasted that alien once he was inside and the portal was about to close. She chuckled. Metropolis was already ruined and he didn't use that when he was having a hard time damaging that dick. He won't use it. Is that the best way of telling everyone that Kitsune is an honorable man, she thought. If the Joker or some psychopathic maniac has this kind of power, then Gotham would have been wiped out from the world map. I like him. You like every good-looking guy. Oliver interrupted, and it almost forced her to grab an arrow from his back and shove it down his throat. But she couldn't deny what Oliver had just said, but she hasn't seen his face at all, not even for once. But she knows what kind of a man is by hanging out with him for an hour or two. And the one thing that alerted her to him is the level of innocence on this man. Yes, he was mature, but his nervousness whenever she seduces him is something she couldn't pass up. The face he makes, his sweat trickling down towards his body, the sound of him swallowing hard whenever her hands touches his skin, and the moment she saw his little one grew up was the best thing ever. Screw her, she likes to see men in that state, and Batman is definitely the opposite of Kitsune. She sighed. True, but I can say the same for you. Anyway, before this idiot would get us off track, my point is our knowledge over the Justice League. Everyone tilted their head, a sign of them curiously seeking the answer she seems to have. Nightwing, Kitsune, and I were on a mission. Well, we have the same mission, so we allied ourselves together. Who of you knows Richard Cotterlid? The fucker of Gotham City, right? She nodded. Everyone in the world knew about the sickest rapist out there. Richard Cotterlid, the fucker of Gotham, but name was given by the criminals who found his handiwork like some sort of art. Some time ago, Cotterlid managed to kidnap 30 women in a single week, his debut, and hid them under his mansion where they are kept as slaves. Cotterlid is a sick bastard that is beyond any kind of help, but his money allows him to buy men from the black dealers, and should the police would try and attack the mansion, then urban conflict is definitely a possibility. The Justice League couldn't act much better with all of their work keeping them busy, and the fact that the media had spread that the women kidnapped are wearing some kind of bomb collar that would explode if 3 scenarios would happen. The first is the moment the collars are removed from their skin, it would go off. Second, should Cotterlid dye the collars and the mansion is rigged to explode. Some kind of heart sensor machine that he had acquired. 3. Another methuman was guarding the cell within, and everyone was told that it had the same level of strength as Superman. The third one was definitely a lie, something to give the police something to think about. Selena couldn't wait any longer. The fact that the women inside are being tortured not only physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. Every single day they are stuck inside that horrific mansion lessens their hope of being rescued. She just have to find a way inside and steal the detonator. It was the only device capable of connecting Cotterlid's heartbeat, and the collar bombs as well. It was also the only thing that can be used to physically access the bomb. If she can manage to steal it, the police would, she thought of bringing it to the cops, but they were as dumb as they are corrupt. Most of them, at least. If there's a group of people who can handle this, then it is the Justice League. That's when she found Nightwing and Kitsune in the shadow, minutes before she could fully decide to enter and attempt to steal that device. Catwoman? Cute. After she licked his earlobe, he could never face her with much courage as in the past. And the great Nightwing, Batman's substitution whenever he is needed in the League. I'm thinking you have some kind of plan, do you? They nodded, but warned her not to interfere in their way. In fact, Nightwing seriously told to her face to never set foot on that mansion. That they already got this, sort of. Camera on the box is ready, Nightwing said, nodding towards Kitsune as he vanished from thin air and appeared seconds later. Is the police sending this gift now? Yeah. I told them to tell the guards that if Penguin heard that his gift for this asshole didn't arrive, then he'll attack every police officer on Gotham. Now, it's only a matter of if he accepts it or not. The Christmas-decorated gift is making its way inside the mansion, but there is still no sign of the once millionaire that is Richard. My camera is rolling as well? Nightwing gave a thumbs up, his other hand pressing so fast on the computer to maintain the signal. Okay, we got him. Another monitor has been brought to life as the devices subtly roaming around the house is able to detect heat signatures in every room. He is in his room with 5 women on the floor. No, I'm not sure, it might be his goons, but the way. It's the girls. She never heard the serious side of him. Ever. She'd seen him on the television and live in action, but there was no emotion at all. The same as the Batman, he is the kind of guy who never lets his focus down whenever he can, but he is still a lot fun to be with than the Bat ever could. I can feel them. If she's right about this, he was grinding his teeth with anger. No, it was well beyond anger, it's rage. What's the plan? She had to ask. The box contains a dagger. Kitsune has to teleport inside. Once inside, he'll teleport somewhere far away with Cotterlid where his detonator could no longer detect the collars. And no, it won't go off because we've studied the collar itself. That is why it took so long for us to take action. First, the detonator has a 100-mile radius before completely losing its connection with the bombs. Second, once the bombs and the detonator are too far away, it doesn't matter anymore if he dies in front of the girls. And again, no. She frowned at this. She hasn't even asked any of them a question. At least Kitsune is keeping himself quiet. The detonator is too high-tech to know the difference between the lost signal and a dying heart. Technically, it was built to be the only failsafe should the detonator experience some trouble. Third, each caller has a password if he switched the program on the computer 4 digits. The password can never be changed. It was programmed that way because the one who made it is a paranoid who felt like someone would use his own toy against him. How do I know this? I think you already know the answer to that question. Batman? Yep. He interrogated Dr. Essa by attaching a collar on his neck and tying a rope on it. He got to a safe distance and threatened Dr. Essa that if he doesn't tell him how to stop the bombs from going off, then his own invention will kill him. And of course, that doctor told him everything. Correct. Nightwing smirked, but Selena knew that this is a man of good heart. Dick Grayson didn't experience what Bruce, she knows, went through when he was still a child. Dick will never be capable of something that cruel and marking a criminal with his insignia with the help of a metal glowing with an orange-like light. Okay, we're in. Get ready. It will work. Don't kill him. Selina turned her eyes on the fox-masked man, but he didn't respond. No, she too wouldn't let this man live. Richard Cotterlid is not a mentally ill person. He is just that disgusting and perverted that he sees women as nothing more but items that can be discarded. Oh yeah, he was a millionaire, and that meant she has entered that mansion, long before it turned into a perverted dungeon. Richard was like Bruce Wayne, sleeping with different models, playboy, rich, and that meant jewels for her. And when she entered the bedroom, that's when things started to get even beyond the description of being kinky. Dildos, vibrators, even a knife with blood still staining it. And smelling the hair on his bed told her this woman suffered before escaping his clutches. So she rejected him, landing a kick on his chin before he could even think what was going on. I should have killed him long ago, she whispered, but the slight turn on Kitsun's head told her he's heard her. Doors closed. Confirmed visual on Cotterlid. All of the other heat signatures are women. Dick's head gazed upon the other man, then he nodded. Give him what he deserves. She chuckled softly, even Dick wasn't able to control his emotion properly on this one. With one exhale of breath, he vanished. Drones are entering the house quietly, he said to himself. What the fuck? Cotterlid said, instantly dropping the box. The drone had a perfect view just outside the window. The man laughed. Idiot. This device is connected to my fucking satellite. I know you fucker. Teleporting bitch in the Justice League. Fuck you. You know my fucking satellite? Huh. That thing can fucking connect me any fucking where. He was laughing like he had lost his mind. And look. He unbuttoned his blood-stained shirt. Fucking detonator is attached to me. What you gonna do, huh? Rip it off? Idiot. 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 This guy was definitely beyond help. His own fetish just poisoned his mind, but he willingly accepted the poison as well. Wait. 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 What are you doing? Kitsune just crushed the camera on his head, but he grabbed another of his signature dagger and threw it towards the drone. Whoa! What the hell, man? Nightwing yelled, typing faster as the other roaming drones desperately rushed their way towards that window again. Anywhere, huh? The mic was still working. So be it. Present. What happened then, Selina? Steve asked. I knew that he was the one responsible, but the body was never found, right? Nightwing reported he fell somewhere in the Himalayas, right? She shrugged. The government didn't care either. That case was too disturbing for them to touch, not to mention scandalous too. Steve sat down. The others are listening like children with Selina's story. You could have called us for help. I mean, we would have tried to help, but Kitsune is indeed the most suitable for the job. She nodded. So what happened? She shook her head. What I do know is that after the drones reached the window, the two are gone. Nightwing ordered the police to charge as we attack the place as well, just in case some metahuman does indeed guard the place. And I, who was raised from the very dark corners of Gotham, couldn't sleep for days after I've seen the mansion. His own men, the one he bought, was mounted on the wall with nails. Their hands, eyes, and mouth was pierced by nails that soon attached itself on the wall. It was bullshit. Everyone turned their heads towards Oliver. He said he owned a satellite, right? Why didn't it work when he died? Exactly, Selina replied, her eyes filled with question as well. Just be careful. We will. He's full of mystery, and we really don't know his full capabilities. Somewhere in Kondak. Selina couldn't keep her heart calm. Were they really going to make the Justice League their enemy? Dr. Light, the newest member on their team, just launched a full attack on Wonder Woman. Before anyone could respond, Superman had grabbed Dr. Light. Don't touch my friend. Laser beam melted Dr. Light's head with a red glowing light, blinding most of them. What have I done? Superman didn't know what he's doing. I'm sorry. Fuck you, monster. All of them charged at the Justice League with Selina staying behind. A deafening exploding sound was heard from where she's standing. She could feel the invisible force launching her, and the rest of her team 30 feet away from where they were standing seconds ago. The force was like a truck with the speed of a missile hitting your entire body. Her eyes landed on Trevor where she saw him cough up blood, but he continued to force himself to stand up. Then it landed on Kitsune. Try and touch them. His voice was so calm it sent shivers down her spine. Attack them, Trevor ordered, and the battle ensued. The last thing she remembered was the explosion that sent her flying towards a building. Come, Kitsune. I will see that swordsmanship of yours to the test. She dared, right after her entire team, including her, was blasted by a shockwave that sent them flying and covering their bodies with bruises. It was kind of nostalgic for him to face an enemy with a nearly similar mask as his. It felt like he's just sparring with Kakashi, who doesn't like to lose as well. He pulled out one of his special kunai, posing defensively as he waited for the woman to attack. I know all of your moves, boy. Don't think that your teleportation will work on me. It didn't feel right to fight their supposedly allies, but at the same time he wanted to. Something is definitely wrong. Not only because the whole world is probably watching them right now, but the way they didn't even try stopping this battle proves something is indeed amiss. Some tried talking the others down before the battle began, but once most of them were throwing punches, the heroes who were stopping them minutes ago are joining the fray with no remorse. Did he do the right thing? Sending them flying away? They hurt Diana, but while Superman's actions were indeed questionable, Clark acted like he didn't know what was going on, more reason for him to be protective of his friends. He had to calm down, otherwise each and every one of them will be on the court proving their innocence. He doubted that the military would still want them hovering and scattering around the country and across the world. The people whom they had saved, regardless whether they are ARGUS, Justice League, or some lone vigilante, are being showered with love and praise, but the same can't be said about the military. He understood their side perfectly, but this world is more dangerous than the military thinks. They've seen Darkseid and know he will be back. Mentioning it before he vanished back to his world is already a strong proof of how much he seeks vengeance on Earth. That guy never experienced defeat until he attacked Earth. Katana charged with the same motion as his, but unlike him, her mind was in the same state as the others. They weren't under some mind control spell and there's definitely no one else around them, but the question remains the same: who is manipulating them? He can't let whatever it is that's trying to enter his heart win, and it seems like Bruce is the only one, other than him, that's barely affected by this thing trying to tear them apart. She lunged her sword straight to his heart, but he easily countered it with his kunai. She gritted her teeth for a second, but it was enough for Naruto to make his move. He quickly twirled his arm, pushing the sword away for the intended target, while his forearm immediately rolled up like a snake and attempted to drive it towards her face. He slowed it down enough for her to be able to dodge, but leaving a large rip on her mask as well. He needed to warn the others immediately by this new information that he has, but he needs to take down this woman first. How can he tell the others of his still unsure feeling if there's a psychopathic woman samurai that wants to kill you? And she's not even angry at him or anything, she merely wanted to know who is better when it comes to wielding a katana. She pulled her sword back, but Naruto came closer to her, inches away from her body. She panicked and tried to jump backwards, but her opponent already got caught of her shoulder and quickly tightened his grip on it. Naruto hastily thrashed her around like a person holding a dog's tail and swinging it left or right and up or down without touching the ground or any debris that are around them. The last thing he needed is for this woman to be seriously injured, as if Superman's murder of Dr. Light wasn't enough. All he needed was to weaken her enough so that she won't have the strength to fight until later on. It might take all of us to beat whoever it is that's trying to control us, he said at the nearly unconscious woman. Her grip on her beloved sword is as tight as when she charged at him. Now rest. He teleported to where he left Catwoman. She was the first person he saw and immediately evacuated her from the battle zone. She's the last person who could stand up against a group of rampaging superhuman. Well, Steve is there as well, but he can probably take care of himself. The government wouldn't have established ARGUS under his command if he isn't capable. Take care of her, Catwoman. She nodded. Wait. The awakened woman shouted, she's got minor injuries, but when he sent them flying she must have hit something that drained her energy. It's nothing. And promise me that you will stop them. I don't really know what's going on, nor have I given any fuck before, but this whatever's happening right now we need to unite. He gave a resolute nod. Don't die as well. You know, you're a human like me, Batman, and mostly everyone else, but you're fighting against people who some considers as gods, she said, turning her head towards Katana, who's trying to mumble something. Catwoman nodded at her friend's word and faced him once more. She said you cheated and she wants a rematch. A wicked smile formed on Catwoman's lips. And if she won, she said, you'll have to take me, Catwoman, on a date. He blushed, but quickly regained his composure. I'm not even going to respond to that. He teleported back to the battlefield. Princess, we cannot simply outrun them. Their ships are faster and are well equipped with weapons that could easily decimate this ship. One of her most trusted allies said, once a slave like her, but it all changed when she freed them from the chains that binds them. The alien seemed to notice her troubled look. The other ships are scattering across the galaxy as we speak, but their once chasing ship are now bearing over us. They intend to decimate us. Death wasn't a problem for her if it meant saving her planet from the clutches of the Citadel. She sighed. The Citadelians doesn't care about an uprising rebellion since they themselves can hold off a few lanterns as well. 100 rebels doesn't even begin to count as a single Green Lantern, but while the Guardians are indeed heroes across the known stars, they cannot attack a planet that's rightfully ruled by the Citadel. If only her sister hasn't allowed that kind of truce, giving the Guardians enough time to mount a rescue, but it doesn't matter any longer. Find a planet where I can draw them in, she ordered, but while her second argued about leaving her there for the Citadelians to capture, they didn't really have much of a choice. Do it. Escape for now, then find me again. We will free everyone from their hands. We will find you again, Starfire. The infamous name she gained after releasing this ship from the hands of her slavers. She repaired, recruited new crew, and finally commandeered this ship. She nodded, believing that they will accomplish what they had started. Their pursuers continued their fire against this ship, but the ship she took care of all these years is a bit tougher than what they're throwing. Find my brother. He and the Omega Men will help you destroy the Citadel. And the Guardians? Let them help if they wish. I am tired of the promises the Guardians make. Her most trusted partner chuckled, which she followed. Still, they're doing their best, and more firepower doesn't seem like a bad idea. She will destroy that empire, she will remove them from her planet, and she will be reunited with her family. The navigation system started beeping after a few minutes of searching a planet capable of maintaining life forms. It found one. Her second pressed buttons that felt too fast even for her, and she's the one commandeering this ship. We've found a planet. I am detecting life forms, too many life forms on this planet. This is no outpost or simply a colonized world, but a planet that has existed for a long time without interference from the Citadel. She asked if he was sure and how he came to that conclusion. Simple. If it is under Citadel rule, then there are going to be fires that can be seen from here. She laughed, but she couldn't argue with that logic. Citadelians aren't known for a peaceful rule even under a planet they've conquered for so long. They are barbarians with very advanced weapons in both technological and physical structure. Starfire. It's okay. I will be fine, but if the Citadel continued following you, then you must try your best to escape. Do not let them know of our fleet's position. And message all of the generals to vote for a leader if the two of us are to perish. Just remind them what we're trying to do. To remove the Citadel of the face of this galaxy. She could see her second swallowed hard at her voice. She's still got it. Don't worry. There might be some people who could help me there. The escape pods opened dramatically, allowing their enemy to see their next move. Use the escape pods. She already has a plan for it. Each pods has a window large enough to see half of the body of whoever is in there. She'll draw them in with her fiery hair, and hopefully they would all come charging at them. But there's still doubt that the people of this planet wouldn't be so kind to her once she lured these aliens in. If they aren't, then she'll leave and find her way back to her army. Though her fleet could hardly be called a fleet at all. It was just junk ships with weapons attached for defensive purposes. But they didn't need to battle in space, and while their junk ships are scraps of metal put together, they are as tough as her. All they have to do is make sure they survive the landing they're going to make in Tamarin and contact the rebellions, then take the capital city with or without her sister's approval. Yes. That's the plan. The radio begins to show some signs of life. Starfire, they know we're trying to hide you on this planet. They'll probably fire on you before you could even reach the atmosphere. She disagreed, but kept her silence. The Citadel needs her alive, just like back then. After all, they needed another Tamarin ready to rule as a puppet should her sister be uncooperative. Not to mention that if her death reaches her sister's ear, then they'll definitely fight back, and that's the last thing the Citadel wants. Good luck, Starfire. May the stars lead you to us once more. And to you as well. Never forget what we are fighting for. Never forget. The escape pod launched, and just like she planned, the 20 ships chasing them all turned their attention towards her. She's just one woman who led the rebellious army of hers. And if she can do it, then what's stopping others to take her shoes? She closed her eyes as she began to be pulled by the gravity here. The gravity is much stronger here than any other planets I've been, but this planet is near to its sun. She smiled. She's a race of solar sustenance, people who gains power under the influence of the sun. Her escape pod continued feeling the shockwave of the nearby explosions from the cannons of the enemy ships. Fortunately, they haven't followed her yet to the atmosphere and continued firing at her pod without halting. Unfortunately, that means they are preparing to land as well, but is unable to do so for the moment because of the gravity pull. They can enter if they force to, but their ship would receive damage, and it is the last thing they want stranded on an alien planet. Despite being barbaric, Citadelians wouldn't conquer so many worlds only with the use of brute force. They are smart as well. Her pod shook violently, but she is no longer within the firing range of her pursuers. She tried her hardest, maneuvering her way to soften her crash, as much as possible. The metal was at least strong enough to hold this thing in one piece, but the heat generated from her fall started it on fire. Hopefully, she won't explode when hitting the ground, and no people nearby. She's going to crash. Hard. She tried steering the ship upward in hopes to slow it down, and rather than nosediving towards the ground, she could slide her ship. She can't steer it up anymore. She'll crash. The kunai he has is in the middle of the battlefield, and teleporting there doesn't seem like a smart move, no matter how grandiose he might look. That was plain stupid and just for people who loves to show off. He chuckled at the thought of Barry and Hal trying to show off more than once when they dragged him into a nightclub somewhere in Central City. Of course, Clark, being the big older brother that he is, wasn't actually happy he had gone with Barry and Hal. Cyborg gave a thumbs up in telling them to invite him next time, and Bruce didn't have any comments except a smile when Clark tried explaining to Diana what a nightclub is. Of course, there's a sort of frown from Diana's face once she understood what it was. But when Barry explained that it is just a place for people who wants to hang out and find other people to be friends with, she seemed to calm down and understood the full grasp. But that stare he felt all day wasn't an easy experience. And no. Instead of them telling him to have fun, all he was able to do is watch for these two idiots who are too drunk to even come home. And when Barry and Hal puked at each other, they passed out. He merely carried them to the bed, together, and didn't touch that vomit for a second. Their faces when they returned to the watchtower was priceless, telling him that he could have at least separated them. Thankfully, Victor already copied that photograph from his phone. Ah, memories. He smiled. Hey buddy, do you have any idea where that energy is coming from? He's suddenly transported into a space-time dimension inside his body. Kurama, the nine-tailed demon fox, greeted him with enthusiasm. Fist bump is their thing, but the fox's hand is too huge for the two of them to give any strength at all. The giant fox shook his head. I can't be too sure, but I have a feeling where it is coming from. Just a feeling. Naruto nodded, telling him to continue with whatever it is that he's got. You already know someone is playing you, but you can't detect any energy or presence at all. He nodded in agreement. Maybe because that person is too normal or weak even for a human to have a very detectable energy. He never considered that. Someone who could outsmart two organizations that are the sword and shield of this planet is probably overpowered, he thought. But Kurama might be right at all. However, that feeling trying to enter your heart is coming from that box. I have no idea why you can't detect it, but I know. How? The moment you carried the second girl out of the battlefield, I felt its presence from the box. His eyes narrowed. The one that looks like a skeleton? Kurama nodded, stroking his chin with his hand. Though I'm not entirely sure as well. It didn't seem like those magical opponents you have faced before. This box is different, but the same at the same time. Naruto shook his head. He didn't understand that box, and neither does Kurama. I guess I'll get Batman out of the battlefield so I can ask him without interference. Batman? Ridiculous name. I know, right? The two laughed and agreed that the title given to him as the Dark Knight was way cooler. His gaze turned towards the sky as the ball of fire falling from the heavens is heading towards him. He is far enough from both the battlefield and where Catwoman and Katana is, but this battle is beyond any normal man's capabilities. This is a battle of the gods, supers, and heroes, whatever the people would want to call them. And the military is smart enough to stay away in this battle. Rescuing normal people won't be that easy now that each and every one of them is going all out. That doesn't look good. He ducked his head as he felt the wind caused by that thing's velocity. It was at least 20 feet above him, but the speed of that thing is too fast that it even sent him tumbling down the ground. He panted. One moment he was looking at it, and the next is it falling with great speed just a few feet above him. His line went up. Yeah, Vic? We are following Batman right now, but we don't really know where he is going. The box is indeed the one causing everyone this weird reactions, though I doubt they recognized or acknowledged it yet. Victor sighed, telling him that the box is even affecting a cyborg like him, but the effect of the evil is lessened due to his inorganic parts. Look, we've locked on to Batman's signal and we are now preparing to land, though it looks like ARGUS and the others are just behind us as well. I got one of your daggers here, so just teleport here when you're done. Before they could cut communications, Cyborg intervened. You haven't done anything to those girls, did you? What? No. What the hell do you think I am? Hey bro, just asking. No need to be so defensive. Naruto was sure to see that smirk on Cyborg's face if he is there. I didn't. He cut the communications off. Jerk, he said, shaking his head. He walked towards the crash site that set a few trees on fire, but the damage was smaller than he expected. It didn't hit directly, but like a plane when the landing gear is broken, using the plane's body to slide down the runway. It's definitely not safe, but the safest option when there's nothing else that could be done. He came close to what it seems like a ship, but is definitely too small to be flying in space. He grabbed his sword and a kunai should it be one of Darkseid's pawns worse Darkseid himself. He can definitely handle someone like Darkseid, he thinks, but for how long? A full blow of Rasengan on his face only scratched him, and he doubted his teleportation technique would work the second time around. Hey, on the other side of the fallen pod is Catwoman and Katana, and the latter warrior seems to have regained herself now that the box is away from their influence. What the fuck is this thing? Catwoman asked. He shrugged, not really knowing more about it than falling from the sky a minute ago. Suddenly the door opened along with a hand. Out came a woman too weak to even carry herself properly, but surviving that kind of crash means that this woman is indeed more than meets the eyes. He treaded carefully. He doesn't know where she came from or what her intention is, but he can't really let her do this to herself. Pushing herself to stand up must be hurting her a lot. Are you okay? She spoke in a language he doesn't have a clue with. She was very beautiful in her own way, orange skin, bright green eyes, and a fiery hair that seems more like an illusion than reality. He approached her. Her entire body was warm and comforting, and it was like being under the sun with a cool breeze of wind hitting your face. Again, she spoke in a language he doesn't have a clue. Her hands worked their way towards his face, trying to remove the mask. It didn't felt right that some stranger, let alone an alien, would he let remove his mask off. But the comforting sensation he felt seems more trusting than his brain sending tons of warning signs that it is wrong. She slowly unveiled the mask off of his face, and there they were staring into each other's eyes. Huge oceanic blue eyes met with her lush forest green orbs, but the next thing she did was beyond anyone's expectations. Her lips locked onto his without warning and he immediately melted under her touch, her hands locking around his neck as it grew tighter and tighter. For a minute she continued exploring his mouth where no other woman had ventured into until the need of air broke them off. Whoa. This bitch works fast. Catwoman muttered, enough to be heard by everyone around them. Katana nodded her head, though her eyes while locked onto his showed no other sign than rematch. A smile played on Catwoman's lips. Maybe I could learn a thing or two with this hot alien bitch, she said, licking her lips as her eyes pointed themselves to the only man in the premises. The alien smiled at him, her lips still inches away from his. Though he didn't know what kind of smell this woman is radiating, it's definitely exotic, like her. Thank you? I am fine as well, a little hurt, but nothing a few hours of rest can manage. Catwoman immediately shut her lips tight. Her eyes widened as not only did this alien woman spoke their language, she's even good at it. And I am not a bitch. There's a smile on her face, a threateningly one, when her eyes laid on Catwoman. Naruto cleared his throat, still trying to recover from what this woman did to him. It felt good. He had seen this people kissing in movies, but how he felt it a few moments ago was surreal, not to mention that he's not expecting that one bit. It was more than good, like her smell. Her tongue was no different than a human is, but the way her saliva tasted is exotic, but a hint of sweetness on it. He shook his head, not letting little Naruto up with all of the crap that's happening right now. I came to believe you didn't know how to speak our language when you first spoke to me, he said. He himself could still feel the blush on his face. I have my secrets, you have yours. She smiled innocently, her hands trailing on his forehead, pulling down the mask. So, what are you doing here? It's time to know what an innocently hot-looking alien is here on Earth. And the fact that she just crash-landed. Her mind began hurting her as his words were like daggers slowing piercing her brain. It hurts so bad that she's forced to her knees as her hands cradled her head only to stop whatever it is that she's feeling. Why can't I remember? Everyone around them looked at her like she's just grown another head. I can't why. She was on the verge of tears. It felt like she was supposed to remember something important, and she just forgot about it. Well, we could at least start with your name, the man she just kissed said. She remembered something about a planet filled with life forms that would be willing to help her. Help her with what exactly? What is her name? She can remember it, but which of the two is her real name? Starfire. Yes, I think it is Starfire. No. It didn't felt right, but it didn't felt wrong as well. How can she even feel right about her name she is quite unsure of? The ground they were standing on exploded as each and every one of them was sent flying by the sudden blast. Fuck. What the heck was that? The tight suit-wearing woman said. Katana, are you hurt? Her eyes were blurry, but well enough to see the woman running to the other woman wielding a sword. Two hands wrapped around her, and they were too big to be humans. Let go of me. She screamed, and it was obeyed. She fell down on the ground with a thud, her head turning around to find a Citadelian's body on the ground, unmoving. Her eyes shifted towards the other silhouette, the one she first found on this planet. He offered his hands to her. Are you okay? She nodded, still not believing that the Citadel would enter someone's planet with no army at their back or a diplomatic solution. How badly do they want her back? If she was deemed too dangerous to even live any longer, then that blast would have been suffice enough if they targeted her. It was meant to weaken her and it worked, but the same can't be said to her man. Who are these guys? He locked his hands with her and made their way towards the other two. She shook her head, telling him that she couldn't remember much about anything. You, he said, pointing to the 40 Citadelians in front of them. What do you want? He said venomously. The one you are holding is a slave to the Empire. She escaped and started a rebellion against the Emperor, and she must be captured once more. Slave? She saw his eyes burn with anger, but was soon followed by a long exhale of breath. We will settle this peacefully. For invading Earth, I will let you, whatever you are, leave this planet unscathed. She will remain here with me and will be under the protection of both the planet Earth and of the Justice League. Go back to your ships and leave without causing any more problem. Do this and I'll let you live, do not and you will all die, he said, as calm as possible. But a part of her knew that he's looking for trouble. No, he wanted these guys gone. Permanently. The alien laughed, followed by the others surrounding them. Their laughter drew the birds away from their location, but these soldiers have already readied their weapons for battle. You think this woman is some mere slave for you? Bah! She is a princess of Tamarin as well, and the Emperor wants her back. Something to add to his collection. The man vanished before her very eyes, appearing in front of the Citadelian with his sword piercing its neck. Catwoman, get Starfire and Katana to a safe place. I'll handle this. Pfft. Don't think that because I use a whip and scratch other people that I'm useless. I will see better how good you are in combat, so restrain yourself from teleporting too much, the other woman said, doing a stance that was a bit unique for her. And I will not let my savior handle my problems alone, she said, but she knew she is too weak to even use her powers. While physical abilities are still far from being defined as weak, it will be a problem to handle all of them with just her hands. She's been trained to fight in hand-to-hand combat, but these are the people that conquered her planet. Yes. Coriandar. Her name. So much for finishing this in one move. He stepped in front of her and offered his sword. You know how to use this. I am knowledgeable of swords, but I do not know the techniques of this one. An advice. Please. It still cuts like any other sword, he said with a smile. Simple enough. Let us begin. Her eyes didn't left her savior as much as possible. She cared about the two other women fighting her still blurry battles, but her attention is solely for him. He was too fast, slashing down one enemy after another. He ducked as a Citadelian is about to slash him, but he continued running forward, not caring for the one now chasing him behind. He was using daggers that he throws and puffs their way back into his hands. Her heart skipped a bit since despite all of what's going on around them he stared at her widely, too widely? She gave a surprised look when he threw that dagger at her. He was not too far and how he threw that dagger is too strong, too fast for her to dodge. She closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable only to feel something push her aside, hard. She opened her eyes and the last opponent left seems to have snuck its way behind her, but it was once again her savior who saved her. Told you, I should have handled it alone. You three aren't fit for battle right now. The other two gave a snort. She noticed how the other women fought as well. They were good, but nowhere near his skills. He exhaled deeply, removing the mask. Since you guys have already seen my face, I think I can remove this for now. As his hands trailed towards his mask, she noticed one thing. You're bleeding. Undisclosed location. Chasing an opponent who's not only an acrobatic freak, but is also part animal, literally, is a pain in the ass. They are too far from any civilized location, and this kind of terrain is perfect for his target. You've got a sight on her, Helena? There was no response from her, but he knew she's safe. He can see her from the sky after all. Great. I'm the one who's losing signal with her. He barely has any sight on Cheetah, merely following the sound of her feet, and the still swinging branches of twigs from the trees she uses to jump around. He continued doing his best chasing this animal-like female that's causing a huge amount of trouble for a secret base in this region. He doesn't literally know the base's location, but he's paid to protect this from the ongoing onslaught of this woman. There is also intelligence from the group known as ARGUS that this woman is with a secret group of criminals that seeks to destroy everything in their path. He doesn't really care about ARGUS at all. He only gets paid by someone higher inside the government to do their bidding for him. Not to mention that every colored costumes out there is either a villain or a hero, only a few decided to work for the government. He stopped on his tracks, the aircraft above him did so as well. The trail stops there, not to mention that there's no echoing sound of her movements deeper into the jungle. This woman is absolutely good with this kind of combat, even he can't detect her presence at all. Still, despite not feeling her aura in this jungle, he knows that she is hiding, waiting for the right moment to strike. A slight sound of friction alerted every senses on his body and immediately turned his body to see the attacker. He closed his right eye and opened wider his left eye, also attracting eye contact from this cat-like woman as well. She looked at him in his eye and immediately fell down on the ground with a thud. He gave a sigh of relief, thanking this wonderful eye of his that's been a lot of help in this world full of freak shows. Okay, he is part of it, but at least he's still good looking. The aircraft landed on the nearest open field, which isn't really too far away from where his last location was. Thanks for the help, he said, smiling at the woman who owns this huge aircraft with the full capabilities of a VTOL and more. In fact, this is probably one of the most advanced ships he has ever seen, and he's seen some shit. If only they had this kind of technology back in the war, but this won't have any kind of effect from that person. He shook his head, this is not the time to be zoning out of his game. The female walked up to him and immediately punched his arm. Ha! Ha! Very funny, she said, helping him carry this half-cheetah, half-human onto the ship. There were no orders about capturing this woman nor killing her, but they decided to let her go somewhere deep into a forest too far from any civilized locations. There's only a select few left untouched with human hands, but those places are like safe haven for this woman's kind. So, did you have any problems with her? He shrugged, taking a relaxed position from where he is sitting. She's really good at hunting. It almost felt like I was the one being hunted despite me chasing her around the forest. She chuckled, leaving the aircraft on autopilot mode. They've still got a long way to go to reach their destination. By the way, have you contacted ARGUS? You can tell them that the mission is done, and we will be taking our money. It's not about the money for him, but this world will be a lot safer with fewer villains roaming these lands. And this woman feels like she's just confused as to what her nature is. She stared at the cheetah for a few seconds, mesmerized that such weird beauty could exist. Watch where those eyes are going, tiger, she said threateningly. He's forced to swallow the immediate air trapped inside his mouth, earning the woman a chuckle, but remaining vigilant as to where his eyes is going. Whoa! Okay, did you do something? Both their eyes were amazed at the now awake woman in front of them, but didn't exactly look like feral. Hello? Kakashi eyed Helena with a look that says, are you serious? But despite doing the unthinkable, the woman seemed calm and ready to talk. You. Her eyes darted towards him, but with a look of interest rather than anger. You sent me in that illusionary world again. She inhaled as much scent as she can from him. No. It's not you. Your eye is different, but his is normal. Like an ocean. He didn't understand her quite well, but what he did understand is her being under the influence of genjutsu. Again. Who are you talking about? Helena asked. The Justice League. They defeated me, but after I escaped from my prison I was more sane after experiencing that illusion, she said, adding more that she can't control herself fully whenever there's a full moon, pointing to the actions she did a few moments ago. Kakashi retaliated by asking her if it was her wild side that's attacking the secret facility near her jungle. They've taken people there. That is no Justice League or ARGUS, they are something wicked inside the system, something that will do anything to stop the metahumans. Intriguing to him, but he can't simply ask to enter that place as well. Maybe some other day. Well, she seems human enough. We can't send her into some isolated jungle now, he said, Helena agreeing with him. A few minutes later, the cheetah can't seem to get away enough from where Kakashi is. So, there are only a few men who've tried chasing me without any superpowers. You're the only one who managed to give me a thrill, she said, licking her lips. Kakashi hid behind a piece of paper, but that wasn't enough to shield him from Huntress' dagger-like glare. Your girlfriend? He nodded, not looking at anyone at all. Well, you know in the jungle there are no rules. I hunt who I want. I eat who I want. I am the very definition of the word wild. A chilling sensation traveled down his spine as her fingers circled around his neck. You know, we are both hunters. Yeah, I know your name, Stage Huntress. Who knows, maybe we can share our prey together. Okay. This is kind of uncomfortable, he said, trying to leave the silent battle that's ensuing right now. However, their attention snapped towards the television where Kakashi just increased the volume. Hey, Helena. Is that a battle going on between ARGUS and the Justice League? He's not stupid that he won't know who Kitsune is, and if he's a member of the League he's bound to be there somewhere. My God! An all-out battle between superheroes is happening right now, and it won't spell well in the end whoever the victor might be. What should we do? She asked. Never before had she seen a warlike battle between superheroes. Sure, there were some in her lifetime that has gone rogue, but the magnitude wasn't as huge as this. We'll go there right away. But why? Is there one of them that has gone rogue? He said to no one in particular. Hopefully, it's not the Justice League's fault as to why a battle is ensuing right now. I'll call Karen, she said, hurrying towards the nearest communication device. Good. We'll need as much firepower as possible. Who's Karen? Cheetah asked. She never thought that a single box with that size could influence everyone, hitting their deepest and darkest desire to fuel them into fighting one another. She could never fight against her own friends, the Justice League, and Steve. The people around her whom she considers as friends and family are the only foundation she has on this new and unforgiving world. Wonder Woman did this, Wonder Woman did that, and everything else she do is a black and white entity for the media. They tell the truth, create lies, and she wouldn't be standing proudly if not for her friends. Naruto is still nowhere to be found, but a part of her wanted him to be here. If there is someone who could stop this madness, it is him, but fighting him would be the hardest decision she'll make. She couldn't even hit Clark, Bruce, or Steve, and she considers them lower in rank when it comes to Naruto. But the point is, if she couldn't hit those men, how could she hit the one she considers as? What does she consider him to be? Superman is still sick from something that's inside his body, and it is tearing him apart. While the box is hurting them mentally, it is different for the Man of Steel. Not only is the box influencing him, the same as them, but it is also hurting him physically. His own veins are surrounding his body, but those veins are dark crimson like blood, but much darker than it. And the fact that they are fighting one another while Superman is in this state is feeding her the hopelessness she doesn't need. Enough! Batman yelled, his voice echoed throughout the field. Thankfully, they all stopped, but Superman is barely moving at all. It feels like he's in a coma, breathing but motionless, like a machine that's doing the same thing over and over again with no sign of life. The veins are crawling up under his cheek now, slowly making its way towards the top of his head. It won't take a doctor to know that it's not a good sign when it hits his head. The box might be making us a little crazy in the head, but I don't think it's what's making Superman sick, Firestorm said, hovering a few feet above them. What is it, Firestorm? Batman asked. Like her, he too is close to Superman, who is checking his heartbeat if it was normal to begin with. Though Superman might look the same as a human being, she doesn't really know much about Kryptonians. But why does it bother her when she doesn't know anything about a blonde male that defeated her in combat? I didn't see it before because it's so faint, but it's starting to get stronger. They were all too curious about Superman's unknown disease. It's not every day that the greatest hero on Earth is affected by diseases, even if they are unknown. Superman has always been the beacon of aspiring heroes, whether they wore a costume or not, and for them to see this would be devastating. Firestorm's hand rested on Superman's chest, closing his eyes as they assumed he's starting to feel something. Superman's emitting some kind of radioactive aura as the shock on his face told them it was not a good news. Kryptonite. Batman stood up, checking a device that looked like a phone, but in the shape of a bat. That's impossible. How can he consume a kryptonite when just being near it makes him so weak? He said, closing the device again, kneeling down next to his friend. It's coming from inside? Firestorm nodded, and they all stood there stunned at the sudden news. I can find it. Element Woman interjected, but no one argued about her entering the already fragile body of Superman. She turned into a smoke-like creature, a smoke that's like it was emitted by dry ice, but thick and sparkling as well. She entered the body and immediately returned, still in her smoke physique that creeps the hell out of Diana. Imagining this woman entered someone's body while they are sleeping, cutting a vein or two in the process, making it look like an accident is indeed a disturbing thought. Diana shook her head. This is no time for more distrust between them. There's a microscopic sliver of kryptonite on his brain. Cyborg? It's Naruto. Cyborg? Are you okay? Flash cried, instantly appearing next to his friend. The wound on his shoulder is still stinging, but at the same time a burning sensation that he couldn't remove from his mind. It's quite unfortunate that Kakashi doesn't know much about healing techniques, and the basic that he knows is much inferior to his Jinchuriki chakra. It's basically the same thing, pouring the chakra in one's body to swiftly heal the injured parts of the body. It's the basic and most natural healing, even to humans, but much slower without a chakra's help. However, his Nine-Tails chakra is 1,000 times stronger and vigorous than a normal chakra, which means the process of healing would be much faster. Still, this is a basic technique and would still require time to heal, but he is ready for a fight. Kakashi would be thrilled to see me wounded. Already imagining the scenario, you have your father's Flying Thunder God technique and still got wounded? Yep. That's mostly what his teacher would say, but at least Kakashi can't win against him now. He'll let him have this round, if Naruto sees Kakashi while he is still wounded. That guy might be one of the cunning person he knows, but he can be a bit of a jerk as well. Especially that 1,000 years of death technique of his. He shuddered at the thought. Is your arm okay now? He nodded at Starfire, who was still worried after seeing that fast recovery of his. Look, I can't bring you three with me. If they are still fighting there over the box, then we can expect all of us to get influenced again. He can somehow hinder the influence that's trying to creep inside him, but he can't say the same for the three. Especially Starfire, who is a mystery to all of them, but while she has shown them her powers of blasting green-like energy that's as powerful as plasma, they don't really know the extent of her powers. Just shut up and teleport us, Selena said. Just because we are women it doesn't mean we won't be useful. Katana joined. I didn't mean it like. I've fought with you already. Do you not see that I am able to take care of myself? Starfire finally joined. If he is going to mark them, then he can send them somewhere far away in an instant. Okay. But if you guys started behaving weird, I'll send you away from the battlefield. They all nodded in unison. One blink and they were near Cyborg, who is undergoing a transformation. Victor! Batman screamed, at the top of his lungs. However, it was too late for their mechanized friend. The metals around Cyborg stretched like they were rubber, twisting and turning, piercing to his body, tying around him like it was a snake suffocating its prey to death. Victor screamed with a monster-like sound. It was so inhumane that they could actually feel the pain he is undergoing right now. Grid Online. The voice is definitely not Victor's, but who can control the one man who is better than Batman when it comes to computers? And Naruto knew about the grid, a system that's created to inform the Justice League of news about metahumans that not only needs their help, but if they are worthy of joining the Justice League as well. But Grid is not even an AI, it is just a software like Clash of Whatchamali, informing Naruto if his village was under attack by another player or if his farms are already full. It wasn't supposed to have a mind of its own. The green-eyed cyborg launched all of its weapons at everyone, even him. Dude, it's us! What the hell? Flash yelled, dodging the lasers with ease, but even the fastest man alive can't simply dodge all of Victor's attack and launch a counterattack. The girls behind him immediately took cover, but he stayed there, dodging the lasers as he tried his hardest to study the new cyborg. Something must have gone wrong, Zatanna said, standing next to him as she cast down a shield for the two of them. You're friends with Cyborg. I've no idea what's going on, Naruto groaned. First there was this box, now there's this AI that has corrupted Cyborg. This is fucked up, one of the heroes yelled, reaching both of their ears. He saw a man in a suit walked up towards the box and it started blasting energies all around them, as if Victor's lasers weren't enough. He couldn't hear him properly, but as Cyborg dies its attack down, this is the gateway to our world. Our universe. The birthplace of evil. He didn't hesitate to throw a kunai towards the butler. I'm going full strength at this guy, he said, filled with anger as he created a Rasengan that's made of lava. It doesn't matter if this guy was a normal human or not, he can't risk him opening a gateway towards a place filled with or so-called the birthplace of evil. They're already waging at each other, and a portal to an unknown universe filled with evil is something they might not be able to handle. He teleported, but as his hand stretched towards the man in suit, the gateway opened. For a second he was blinded by a light, but he continued pushing his arm forward. He made contact with a person, but with the light still going so strong he could not see who. It was not the person a second ago. This guy is much larger and sturdier. He screamed, releasing the lava-style Rasengan towards the person he made contact with. He grabbed the kunai and made his way back to where Zatanna and the rest of them are. The man fell down with a loud thud that grabbed everyone's attention. They all looked at the human, if it can still be called like that. The upper part of his body literally melted, leaving only the lower part of his body untouched. Atlantean? He muttered, noticing the similar outfit as Aquaman. Sea King. A pathetic weakling. Though the Sea King didn't make it. We have survived. His eyes didn't bother watching the others who came through the portal. It only rested on a black-haired fellow with eyes the same as Kakashi. The Sharingan. The raven-haired fellow didn't bother waiting for the others to move. He quickly made hand seals of his own that seems too familiar with Naruto. It was a basic technique, one of the first he learned, but the amount of chakra being put into this one is ridiculous. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. The Sharingan user screamed, releasing a ridiculous large fireball towards them. He grabbed one of his dagger. He will return this technique with a surprise of his own. That guy's Sharingan might be different, but the atmosphere of this eye is no different than Kakashi's. However, this man's eyes was filled with anger that cannot be quelled, and the fact that he came from a universe filled with evil tells him that there's no changing this guy's path. Still, they might be from different universe, but their world is the same. At least, that's what he hopes for. He readied his technique, but he stopped as soon as another fellow dropped his back in front of him and took on the fireball himself. Everyone around them braced for the sudden impact of this huge fireball, but not him, and not the man in front of him. Humph. I'm going to steal your spotlight for a second, Kitsune, he said, emphasizing his hero name. That voice. The two-story house fireball was sucked by the man with a black hole. That is impossible. The man created a sucking vortex-like thing that sucked the fireball towards she doesn't know where. Not even the gods of Olympus were capable of such feats. While this man might be mortal, he definitely possesses a power that can rival the gods. Like Superman and Naruto. The only two men around her that was capable of challenging the gods for their seat on Olympus. Everyone stood still, even their enemies who are definitely surprised. She can expect Superman's icy breath, Lantern's firewall, or some powerful attack to counter it, but to such it like a soup? Naruto laughed, standing up as he rested his hand on the shoulder of this silver-haired fellow. Silver. Kakashi. I don't really mean to interrupt, but it looks like you will need some help with this one. Despite wearing a mask that covers the lower half of his face, he could clearly see the smile he gave, and he returned it willingly. The aircraft above them hovered, the guns mounted on its body started churning towards their opponents who didn't seem to flinch at all. The raven-haired young man merely smiled, welcoming the guns pointed at him with welcome arms. That shows that either he is too powerful to even dodge that weapon or too arrogant, and Naruto is hopeful that it is the latter. His master looked up to the sky and nodded, as the guns began firing a series of highly concentrated lasers. The raven-haired fellow snapped his fingers, as the man with a huge U on his chest stood before the younger man and the lasers that are targeting their opponent. Just as Naruto expected, it seems like the people in front of them, despite looking different, is the Justice League from another dimension. Well, they're definitely not the Justice League or ARGUS, and they don't plan to do this in a more peaceful manner, but they are definitely their counterpart. His eyes, however, rested on the young man probably the same age as him, but he couldn't tell if he is indeed his counterpart or not. The Sharingan is definitely a game-changer, because the only person whose eye is similar to the raven-haired man is Kakashi. So, Kakashi-sensei, you know who this guy might be? His teacher shrugged. He certainly doesn't know who that person is. That means they are probably in the same situation where they grew up on Earth. But if his counterpart is here, then where is Kakashi's? And the last thing he needs right now is a pair of Sharingan fighting him. The crime syndicate owns this world now. Grid, proceed to phase 2 of our plan. All men will help you secure the place where our second phase will take place, but make sure there aren't any more troublemakers. If there are, eliminate them. Cyborg, who seems to be under the influence of another cyber-like being, nodded. The one that looks like an owl nodded as well, taking the mysterious person who opened the portal followed them. It seems like he's still not here. Nevertheless, when he arrives he will definitely like this place as well. The raven-haired man's eyes rested on Naruto, grinning like he is the next most fun thing that will happen to him. Now let's. Naruto didn't bother talking with them. The last thing he needs right now is to prolong the upcoming battle. If they are indeed their counterpart performance-wise, then Superman's opposite alone has the capability to destroy this world. He appeared in front of the Sharingan user using a highly advanced flicker body technique, landing a kick straight to the crimson-eyed fellow. TCH. Just as he expected, the Sharingan alone is a force to be reckoned with. Having the ability to predict your opponent's movements is what he considers as godlike. While it still depends on the user's physical abilities, Kakashi is able to predict most of his movements thanks to the Sharingan, but he could not keep up with the succession of his very fast attack, and sooner or later Kakashi has to wield. But if this guy has the 9 tails as well? Feel the power of the Uchiha. Suddenly his eyes turned into the Mangekyo Sharingan, a highly advanced level of the Sharingan that is capable of unique and very godly skills. Kakashi would always tell him the story of his father's heroicness, battling the strongest shinobi that has ever lived, Madara Uchiha. While he knows what the full capacity of the Sharingan, he only knows little about the Mangekyo. Only the knowledge Kakashi has on these mysterious eyes. Naruto didn't hesitate trying to cut him down with his sword, but the Uchiha is able to dodge it at the very last second, only suffering a slightly long scratch from his sword. What the hell, the genjutsu? Suddenly he started laughing. For a second Naruto thought that this man is not only strong, but mad as well. I see, he managed to say, desperately trying to stop the laughter that has contaminated him. So, his eyes narrowed, his face turning dead serious. You're his counterpart then? The Uchiha, suddenly taking advantage of Naruto's shock state, but he was too late as he was able to dodge it and jumped a few feet away from him. "You're not my counterpart?" Naruto asked him, but he simply shrugged. Suddenly 2 wolves made from lightning itself launched towards the young Uchiha. The raven-haired young man merged lightning with his sword and turned it into an elemental weapon powerful enough to cancel the 2 lightning wolves that charged at him like dogs starving for 6 days. "Why you? There's something wrong with this person," Naruto thought. "You're not an Uchiha. How dare you?" Naruto took a defensive stance. This man is still a mystery to him. Charging blind would be something an idiot would do, but he is definitely confused as to why the man in front of him is furious at his teacher. "You are not worthy of the Sharingan." Suddenly 1,000 lightning-like needles was aimed towards them and their allies, coming from a single direction, spreading like a fan. Earth style wall. Earth style mud wall. Naruto and Kakashi combined their techniques together, creating a thick hard shield with an element to counter the electricity rushing towards them. Naruto's earth wall was literally a huge and long stone that came from the ground, acting as a wall. Kakashi's mud wall covered his former student's hard wall, acting more to neutralize the lightning needles. "Sasuke Uchiha? That's my name. My name will be the last thing on your mind as I slay you too." Argus and the Justice League gaped at the duo who just countered that man's attack. First of all, the needles were as fast as a bullet, yet those two had enough time and composure to counter it effectively. Even Karen, a Kryptonian whose cousin is considered as a new god, is gaping at the sight. She's definitely seen more shit than your typical vigilante, but she's never seen Kakashi this serious and the power he possesses. It seems like it is definitely the same for the princess of the Justice League as well, gaping at the masked man known as Kitsune. She knew who Kitsune is, at least what the whole world knows as well. A man who has the ability to teleport and create almost the impossible, one of which is the one he calls the Rasengan. A very powerful ability that feels like you're seeing air itself form an energy around his hands. She'd seen Kakashi do this as well, but with lightning. A technique he uses to slay the lowest types of scums polluting this world. "They just created a wall from nowhere, right?" Steve Trevor asked, literally anyone who is willing to answer his question. She could create a wall as well, penetrating her hand towards the earth and pulling up a huge chunk of soil and use it as a shield. But what they did was definitely something else. They created a wall from nowhere. Then again, she and everyone else had seen Kakashi sucked a huge flame like it was nothing, but no one reacted. "Yes, now get over it. There are more important matters to deal with," Kakashi yelled, snapping some from their thoughts. "Kitsune, we can't let these." He looked at their opponents, but he doesn't even have anything to describe them at all. "We can't let them get anywhere near a city or town. We have to stop them right here, right now." She heard him said. The young man nodded as well, but they all knew that fighting opponents with the same tier as Superman has to be done outside any civilization, or the casualty would be spiraling. "You know how powerful my Mangekyo is, right? Imagine a pair of them. And the fact that we don't know anything about his eyes for now is quite frightening. I grow tired of this. Ultraman, kill someone." With Grid, Owlman, and the mysterious stranger who opened the portal gone, there are only a handful of them left. With Superman's speed, Ultraman appeared in front of her ready to end her life with a single punch. Before she could even move an inch, Ultraman suddenly disappeared right in front of her. She blinked several times before realizing that Superman's counterpart is on the ground. Her eyes turned towards the opposite side from where Ultraman was thrown into, and she saw Kitsune's hand where remnants of the power he used still lingered. He then performed a series of hand seals which Kakashi followed as well, but with different seals. The ground around Ultraman suddenly collapses deeper into the earth. Each second is feet away from the ground from where they are standing. Kakashi then released the mud once again, but this time it's flowing nearly like water rather than the type of mud he used earlier. Then they both did a few hand seals again. This time they are in unison, and it was easy for her to tell that they are going to do the same thing. Flames burst out from their mouth, targeting Ultraman, who has yet to surface deep below the earth and under the muddy water that drowned the said villain. Of course, she knew that this is not enough to defeat Ultraman, if he truly is Superman's counterpart. It would take something more than raw elemental attacks to put down a Kryptonian, and everyone knew it as well. Still, she was thankful for his help when she froze. She doesn't know how bad she would be in right now, but whether she'd be okay or not if she ever took that punch, and she doesn't want to find out if it will take her out or not. And she doesn't want to admit it, but he does look rather attractively enigmatic when she saved her. All that mask, blonde hair, and blue eyes shining brightly even under the mask is definitely captivating. Unlike Kakashi, who's an open quiet pervert, and what does Helena sees in him anyway? She thought. It was a bit harder than expected, but mixing mud and oil is definitely a lot harder than the Rasengan. No way. Rasengan is definitely harder to master, even you can't use it effectively in combat. Now those two boys are arguing about which of their technique is better, but boys will always be boys no matter what number is printed on the age section of their ID, and it's kind of adorable for a hero who is a terror to any criminals and idolized by many as a person on the same level as Superman to be acting childish. Hopefully, it's not most of the time. Bravo. Still, he and I could have taken Ultraman alone. You're still weak, but it will indeed be fun breaking you here and now. He just noticed it, but there's a man with a sack wrapped around his head behind the people who calls themselves as the crime syndicate. His thoughts, however, was cut for Sasuke charged at them with an intent to kill. Starfire, who remained quiet till now, flew above and launched numbers of starbolts, a high-powered solar energy that she can manifest and can use however she sees it fit. Whether it acts like a glove or as an energy bolt for long-range combat is up to her to decide. Dodging it with ease, Sasuke continued his attack with superhuman speed, instantly launching himself from one side to another as the woman behind him flew towards them as well. Bruce, get everyone out of here now. We'll deal with Ultraman when Superman is finally healed. You're the only one who can do it. Naruto nodded at Diana's words. Despite him and Clark being close like brothers, it is Bruce whom he trusts his deepest, darkest secrets with. He knows the feeling all too well, but maybe it's because Bruce Wayne is the only normal human around them. Every member in the Justice League right now has powers of their own, unique and on a very different level from one another, yet Batman, a powerless hero who is hailed as one of the core members of the Justice League, is on par with them. Maybe it is because of that the Batman is trustworthy once you get to know him enough, and when you can defy the bat glare he gives everyone. Naruto met with Sasuke, exchanging blows with him from swords to their fists, and with Kakashi's constant interference it is a lot easier to get a breather and plan for his next move. Oh, he knows. This part of the fight where they are exchanging physical blows is only the beginning, testing each other's limitation, but if he could end this within the next few moves he has on his mind, then he will. God knows what his Mangekyo Sharingan's unique ability is. Superwoman and I will deal with this. If Phase 2 is completed, gather them. Let them know they are serving a different master now. The rest of the crime syndicate dispersed, leaving Superwoman to deal with the female members of their remaining company. ARGUS and the Justice League, or what remains of it, rode on their own ships and flew towards different direction. However, Naruto is still in touch with ARGUS and the League itself. The Watchtower is compromised, Bats. We have to accept that now. If there's any place where Superman can be safe and treated back to his normal health, do it. Because we will definitely need him when this the ground far from them erupted, with it came an inhumane roar. Yep. He's back from the ground. Just hurry up and do whatever it is you've got to do with Superman, he said, ending the connection. ARGUS promised to regroup their forces and would soon send help, but they also admitted the truth that they are still unprepared to fight Superman, let alone an evil version of him who doesn't care who gets killed or not. They promised help, but the question is when? We need a plan, now. Kakashi yelled. While his master is indeed a tactician, at least that's what he calls himself long ago, he is a lone wolf. Even now, Naruto knows that his team with these three ladies is hardly a team at all. More like a do-whatever-you-want organization, but with a single-goal attitude. The only time Kakashi spent practicing team attacks is with him, and that was years ago. So, it falls to him to lead this ragtag group of resistance against the crime syndicate. Because their enemy is not looking for crime or destruction at all, they are looking forward to ruling the entire world with their iron fist, and with an army of villains that seems quite possible. Okay, he took a deep breath as Helena exchanged positions with him, engaging Sasuke with her devices and her own style of fighting. Kakashi and I will take care of Sasuke. Wonder Woman, Helen Huntress, and you Tiger Thing will take on Superwoman. Power Girl and Starfire will take care of Superman. I mean Ultraman? They all nodded, resuming their own positions, luring and engaging their specified targets. He would have taken Ultraman all by himself, but defeating Sasuke takes priority. Again, his unknown abilities, especially the Sharingan, can only be defeated by him or Kakashi. Not to mention that Kakashi would need him if he falls under the Sharingan's powerful visual techniques. I will do the hardest to defeat the Ultraman. For you, Starfire said intimately. Time out. First she had to deal with the enormous fangirls asking her idiotic questions about Kitsune. She would have ignored them if she weren't on a conference. After all, it is her and Superman who has to deal with the masses because they see them as a couple. If they only knew that Clark Kent is marrying a mortal woman who goes by the name of Lois Lane. Then again, some of these fangirls are bold enough to make her blush with their stupid interrogation. He's young. He looks definitely young like me, and you are young, I think? I mean, you're beautiful, but old beautiful. I mean, are you two going out? I'm young as well, you know. Not bad looking, but yeah. Hi, Kitsune. If you're watching these, please she cut her thoughts from the last disastrous conference they've had with the media. That young and promising reporter was fired, but after she started doing videos with her channel called Kitsune Theories, she got too popular and was hired back by the station with her very own show. A knuckle-breaking punch hit her hand towards the ground, forcing her to cough the stranded wine down her throat. Hurrah! What am I thinking at a time like this? Superwoman, her counterpart, grinned like she has defeated Zeus himself. No, something is not right. While her enemy does indeed possess an Amazonian aura, she is not the princess of the Amazon. She is not Diana Prince. You'll pay for that. She charged right back up, but before Superwoman could even lash out her lasso, Cheetah and Huntress landed a solid attack on her before Diana herself forced her counterpart to the ground with a punch that's as powerful as she received. Gods of Olympus knows what kind of lasso does it do. She's not stupid to not know that it's not the lasso of truth. Maybe something opposite of it. But a lasso forcing the victim to tell a lie is certainly useless. Still, her eyes wandered towards the beauty that is now fighting Ultraman. She knows she is not of this planet, or maybe she is also from a different dimension. But what bothered her most is her instant intimate relationship with Naruto. Oh, if she's some woman he's been seeing for quite some time, she would have known that. Barry alone is a gossip machine when it comes to women, and the fact that even she considers her beauty to rival Power Girls and hers is dangerous. Why am I even thinking of this? She's not ready to go out with someone yet. Not after what has happened, and the fact that she and Naruto are on constant danger forced her to stop whatever it is that was progressing for them. If only she'd acted like an Amazon and took that man because she liked him, then maybe she wouldn't be thinking of this stupid thoughts. As far as the battle goes, it is definitely going a lot better with Power Girl and Starfire's battle against Ultraman. And with Huntress and Cheetah's help to battle Superwoman, she's not breaking too much sweat than she first expected. If only the Justice League stayed behind, this would have been over already. She muttered, but if Green Lantern and the rest are indeed here, then maybe it would be all over, or maybe not. If they stayed, then the rest of their enemy would have cancelled their other orders as well. And a larger scale of conflict would be happening right now. But then again, they are in the middle of nowhere with only international news choppers and the Air Force roaming the sky. At least this would be over soon. If they can take down Superwoman here, and now she can help Power Girl and Starfire, and the other two could help Naruto and this new guy, Kakashi. The same can't be said for Naruto and Kakashi. The tension is building up with both sides still testing each other with light but strong abilities, both physical and their powerful techniques, which Naruto calls as jutsu. He charged towards Sasuke as he too charged towards him as well. He threw a Thunder God Kunai towards Sasuke and another one, but with lesser force than the first one. So far, every enemy he had come across with has been dealt and defeated with the element of surprise, and this won't be any different than the last one. Kakashi is behind him with a lightning blade on his hand, ready to deliver the final blow as well. He took a long inhale of breath. Each second felt like an hour because he knows it all too well that his enemy intends to finish this battle on this next move as well. The Sharingan versus the Flying Thunder God technique. Both are godlike abilities, but it will be up to the user who will end up as the winner. This battle has gone off long enough. He teleported behind Sasuke, grabbing the special kunai and pushing his other hand towards Sasuke. A good Rasengan is now making its way towards his back. He teleported Kakashi as the second kunai nears Sasuke's front. Attacking from both sides will be impossible to dodge, and with the speed the Uchiha is going in, he either meets the Rasengan first or Kakashi's lightning blade. Kakashi fell to the ground with a thud, surprising Naruto, but before his Rasengan could meet Sasuke's back, a skeleton hand draped with purple-like flame took hold of him. What is this? He tried to resist, but the grip was strong enough. He started to panic with this new abilities that Sasuke has shown him, but he definitely felt his Rasengan hit something. The other hand. His eyes traveled at the dismembered skeletal arm that's starting to fade on the ground. Sasuke chuckled. As I suspected. That technique of yours is definitely dangerous, especially when it hits the target fully. His eyes shifted from the now departed skeletal arm towards Naruto. Good thing I used two of the Susanu's arms. Otherwise, I'd be dead by now. The shock on his face earned Sasuke a fit full of laugh. He teleported away thanks to the kunai that he was able to let go before Sasuke grabbed him with those strange arms he calls Susanu. His heart was beating way too fast, that was way too close to his comfort. He could have died because he pushed the panic button when Sasuke got hold of him and lost all of his composure for a second. He has to admit, as much as a great fighter he considers himself, a teleporter like him has some fears when being suddenly trapped as well. He grabbed a kunai and prepared to attack Sasuke. Kakashi is on the ground, and the only reason that came to his mind is the Mangekyo Sharingan's powerful dojutsu. He has to release Kakashi soon, but he has to get Sasuke away from his teacher first. Looks like I'll be needing your help, partner. He smiled, feeling the Nine-Tails chakra flow through him, though he has to address the issue of his friend being a snob. Not everyone can be a glorious demon fox like you, buddy. It didn't hurt. But he felt something. He looked down. Just above his heart is a hand with a Rasengan on it, but this one is a dark purple Rasengan-like orb that is surrounded by a series of white rings. I had trouble traveling towards this place, but Pandora's box indeed worked. Naruto felt light, too light that he could see the person piercing his body lifted him up a foot from the ground. He tried to move his arms, but everything felt too light yet heavy at the same time. His vision started to blur, as his body continued to feel nothing but numbness all around. Yes, it worked, but there had been some difficulty. I expected you to arrive much later, but no matter. It seems like Owlman and Grid has finally managed to complete the second part of the plan. What about our prisoner? There. Naruto immediately teleported using the body flicker technique, grabbing Kakashi with every ounce of strength left within him and used the flicker technique once more towards his ally's side. She sent a punch towards Ultraman, sending him to the ground, creating a crater in the process. She never knew what a thrill it is to fight his own cousin. Of course, this one is evil and deserves to be punched. But maybe the Clark on this world might be as near as the Superman on her world. If so, then she will definitely demand a spar between two Kryptonians. Help the alien, not her, gasped. They both rushed towards the two downed friends of theirs and immediately came to their aid. Apparently, the other group mostly defeated Superwoman as well, enough to leave the villain alone. The two are unconscious, but her heart started to beat much faster than she anticipated. It's the first time she's been on a battle this scale and with a downed companion, and there's a circular void on his chest large enough for a hand to put through just above where his heart should be. Power girl. Power girl. Karen. She felt hot after her best friend slapped her on the face. Hey, are they okay? She checked Kakashi first, knowing that Kitsune needs immediate medical attention whatever situation he is in right now. It seems like Kakashi is just sleeping? But Kitsune, as she growled, looking over the duo of enemies that are still talking to each other, ignoring their downed allies and the enemies that is them. We need to get out of her if he's going to survive. Humph. Go. Run. Challenge us whenever you are ready. I will make sure this world will entertain me long enough before the next fight. The raven-haired young man whose mask has the same theme as Kitsune's. Is that his counterpart, or the other one? No, it doesn't matter who is who right now. Let's get him out of here. I'll carry my man. We have a small medical bay on the ship. I doubt that would be enough, but first aid wouldn't be so bad with Kakashi's student, Helena said. For some odd reason they all touched him in unison, hoping they would get to carry him towards the ship. Thankfully, their enemy is arrogant enough to let them escape. Ultraman and Superwoman is beginning to wake up as well, and the last thing they need is the man who can travel around the whole world in seconds chasing them. She calmed herself down. We all have to carry him at the same time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I now know where to find him. Bring this body to that place. A voice that doesn't feel like a human entered her thoughts when she touched him. Did you all? They all nodded. Should we? They rested him on one of the 4 beds on the medical bay. It's his only chance of survival. They heard the voice again, but for some reason they all felt a little terrified at this. I don't know why, but I feel like I know the place where he wants us to go, Karen said. Yeah. It feels weird, but I feel his energy. Weak, but it's still there, Wonder Woman said. I too am feeling the same as you. Take me to that place as well. I can feel it, I can help. The person who came with the crime syndicate. Karen already knew of his existence. His ragged breathing was a distraction when things got quiet, but he lost track of him due to Kitsune and Kakashi's current situation. Who the fuck are you? She hissed, Wonder Woman drawing out her sword as well. I am a friend.